the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom, come on in. Shalom, shalom. Come on in.
Yo, I've been living at the bottom with my hand on your heel. When I walk strong enough to put my hand on your ear. And nobody knows me better than my nostrils. So when I say something, boy, best believe I prosper. Ariaka Ball came and caught him off a girl while you was drunk off of alcohol, partying like a star. That money tree scared cause he saw me with a saw. Standing tall, time to cut you down. Sorry, I'm in charge. You messing with the line, rat. This ain't no scared cat. Trying to catch me unexpected, baby. I'm expecting that. Bet you that you don't wanna come down to my level. I'ma humble you, one you, I'm walking around with a shovel.
Shalom, shalom.
Probably why they wanna jack you. They tired of bird feet. Scraps probably wanna crack around the earth for a work. You would think that this fool's fine. Now you're traveling the space to go and still a moonshine, but I'ma bring you down.
Shining for a while, living above the clouds.
Yeah, we're early tonight.
Ain't no stop till you're underground. With a lot of pride, try to live in the sky. But I'ma bring you down. Ain't no stop till you're underground.
Rich folks got me walking like a madman. Never really want to see your brother stand.
Shalom,
up, I'm
shalom.
up like a lampstand. I bring them down like a champ, man. By they pride, I see in they eyes that I'm the last man. I bring them down like the two twin towers. Run up on me and introduce you to my two twin powers.
Come on in.
Shadow with death. Worst enemies, my enemies, so I be mad at myself. Y'all made me this way. Today is this day. That nobody gon' stop me, y'all disable this fate. The queen of Babylon don't wanna play with this. A King Kong ready for war, you ain't gon' make an escape. Equip banana clip, lasers, tasers, but just wait. I get revenge at the end, so you making a mistake.
Come on in.
Prepared and heavy, ready for that day. Checkmate anybody that wanna step in my way, cuz.
Shining for a while, living above the clouds. But I'ma break it down. Ain't no stop till you're underground. With a lot of pride, try to live in the sky. But I'ma break it down. Ain't no stop till you're underground.
Hey, yo.
That's right. They're moving with a lot of pride, living above the sky. But the Most High is going to bring them down. He ain't going to stop until they're underground. Man, what a song. Warning to the stars. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar, the Gathering of Christ Church, here with our weekly broadcast. Of course, they've redefined the term that we've been doing since I've known to podcast. They've redefined it to podcast. We just here to speak before you. Boy, did we have a broadcast tonight, dovetailing off of our last Wednesday broadcast. Sisters under threat. Okay, targeting the daughters of Zion. Right? Folks, we'll be going soon into our roundtable discussion, okay? We're going to use an open platform with a lot of different guests And either we're going to do that this Sunday or the following Sunday. The battle between men and women. How can we come together under the Almighty? And hey, you don't want to miss that in this Hebrew and Bible Academy. And a matter of fact, brothers and sisters, what I'll do, I'm going to make sure, if possible, that a lot of those clips, at least some of it, where we come to some level of conclusion, that some of these clips can be utilized. Well, I'll take a piece from the Academy and at least put up a few minutes to let you all understand what have come out of these discussions. One moment here. Moving with a lot of pride, gonna bring you down, ain't gonna stop till you underground. All right. So yes. So dovetailing off of our last week's discussion, I want to talk about something this evening. All right. Make sure y'all go to the Hebrew and Bible Academy if you would like to be a part of that roundtable discussion. We're going to get some provocative guests, and we're going to have some elders and deacons from the church to bring some biblical resolve in our roundtable discussion. All right. And we're not going to allow the circular pointing of fingers. Okay. No one can point a finger unless we first own up to our part in this divide. Right. And you cannot bring any level of deflection without solution. So if someone's going to complain about what someone is doing, okay, you're going to have to bring a solution so to stop the negative that have been deteriorating our community. Okay, because guess what? Nothing have ever been built throughout existence, time immemorial. Okay, without solution. If someone isn't coming with a solution, they are part of the problem. They can only point to what's wrong, and that's what has gotten us here. It's time to operate from the outside of the curse and stop using the curse as an excuse to stay cursed. And that will be our discussion between men and women, the divide between man and woman. How do we come to a resolve? And we'll have that in the Academy in a couple of weeks. If this interests you, go to historytimes.org to enroll. We'll make sure you get the complete Academy, and you'll be in. We'll make sure you'll be in the I would say the monumental ending of a serious academy. With, I'm gonna tell you, this academy have been just information filled with history, resources, white papers, and the Bible. We're hitting on all cylinders in this academy, folks. And one thing we've just discussed was the secret relationship between the Jewish people and Judah. I'm going to put a few of those clips up, just a little piece of it, next week, so you can hear what we've dived into. The whole deal is, we also went into the fact that when the Jewish people were about to go into Israel as a state, being celebrated by the international body, that it was driven, a lot of that, from the United States and the Western world by Black Americans' support. It was our political support that led to them actually getting the land of Israel. But yet no one is really talking about that, right? But yet they're seeking to have us take a side in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Well, hold up. We were there from the beginning to help you get restored into Israel, even though we're the children of Israel according to the Bible. Okay? But we could not stand back and allow what? A genocide, or what was reported as a genocide, right, happen to any group of people at a time where we were experiencing a level of apartheid, separatism, and evil here in the United States. So we thought that if we help you with your issue, that you would come back on our side politically to be here for us, right? So we discussed that. It's about time we stop siding with other people, right? When it comes to their particular plights that they have in certain circumstances, and what? Have these others show a good faith in supporting the genocide, the apartheid, the racism that have always been exhibited against us. And I wanted to talk about that because the state of Israel has set a precedent. The president, they have said it, that if you are a people pointed out as a group, right, where the system or government have targeted you through genocide, then there's a paycheck behind that, right? There's what? There's an international monetary funds that actually go into what? Financial aid for people who have been genocided. So now, if you want us to support you in your endeavors, you must first admit what wrong you have done against us, and then use what you've received as a model for our people. That's showing what? Honesty and good faith when it comes to aligning yourself with the people you're seeking to support your endeavors. And guess what? We laid that out in the academy. Folks, you got to see that lesson, a secret relationship between Jewish people and the tribe of Judah. All right. But I digress. Shalom to all you brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. And yes, there's an early broadcast. We're going to try to start these broadcasts early as we come more into the springtime. So reset your watches to get in 5:30 so we're not here all night. And, I want to start these broadcasts early like they used to be, okay? All right. Now, a lot of people are also asking me about the shootings, the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And you notice I steer away from that stuff, right? Why? Because it's becoming... Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Yeah, it was a great lesson this Sunday. It was so much was rolled out for that academy. Thank you, Erica. Yes, it was an in-depth lesson. Thank you for supporting the academy. But the reason why I don't dive into these shootings and all these other things, brothers and sisters, is because I know the difference between, I tend to start looking at what's politically motivated and media driven, right? And I know the difference between, right, what's really going on and the term event, right? So I stay away from all that shootings and mass shootings and active shooter thing, because usually when you hear all of this stuff, it's politically driven with gun control. And then it's actually through emotions moving us out of losing the right to protect ourselves. No one wants to see anyone harmed, but it seems as if the only solution that they're putting out there is to disarm everyone else. And I don't see how an independent event that happened someplace can help me if I'm disarmed in the future. So that's why I tend to take a lot of these particular blown up shooting stuff with a grain of salt, because I've never seen them report these things without some level of gun control on the end of it. So I'm like, you know what? You got some people allegedly questioning whether or not some of what's going on is as reported. Listen, I don't have nothing to do with it. I'm in it. I'm not in it. You can talk about whatever's happening at any parade and anything you want. Okay, that's your business. I'm looking at the laws that are being passed because of it. And that's why I'm looking at a lot of these things with a side eye. Okay, so that's why you don't hear me talking about this stuff, because every other month or every other 3-4 times a month, we're going to hear about these things, and it's going to be driving with the same political outcome. All right. So you have to learn how to do what? Not to be pulled in through your heartstrings. So to give up any protections you may need when the stuff begin to hit the fan. Because based on what we're seeing, letting all types of military aged people into the country and all these things, you don't want to be the person, especially if you're law abiding, a law abiding person. You don't want to be the person without the right to protect yourself. Okay. And you're not going to tell me because there was a shooting in another state somewhere around the corner that I have to now make myself defenseless. It doesn't make sense. Okay. So that's why you don't see me jumping on none of that stuff and talking about it, because when there's a political point behind it and there's votes being done on gun control conveniently in the same state that stuff is happening, I say, you know what? Nah, I don't care what's reported, right? The right to defend yourself, right, is a God-given right. Okay, that's a God-given right to preserve your life alive, folks. I don't care what the Satanists are talking about when it comes to reincarnation and others. Let me tell you, you only get one life to protect. And I'll leave that there. Okay? I'll leave that there. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when they do this gun control and all that stuff, it's going to be them taking it from the poor people first. Right? I need y'all to think about this. They're going to, any law they actually roll out, the poor is affected more so than anyone. Right? Because you're not going to take the protection from law-abiding, right-wing white people in these red states. So when they put these laws out there to try to curtail you from protecting yourself, understand it's going to more so affect our people getting disarmed or going through background checks so that they can now do what? Use a technicality so that we cannot actually utilize our constitutional right to protect ourselves. All right. So that's all I have to say on that. All right. Now, jumping right in. Blessings. Thank you. Y'all doing a great job. If you can hit the like button for me, I'm not going to continue to ask. Just, we're under a shadow ban, but please hit that for me. Hit the like button as you come in, and let's dive into our broadcast this evening. Our broadcast, and brothers and sisters in particular, right? I'm going to make sure these lines are open early so that you can actually chime in. So to give your analysis, your assessment of what we're about to discuss. That's right, folks. You see the title. A threat to sisters going to Afrika alone. A threat to sisters who are going into Afrika alone, folks. And guess what? The international news, I'm going to tell you, they are totally ignoring this fact, as ignoring what's going on with our sisters coming up missing all throughout the United States. And guess what? I've traveled the world, and unfortunately for our sisters who haven't traveled, right, they fantasize these particular areas like Africa and traveling and all these things, the United Emirates and all these things. And Africa in particular, right, it's sort of, I can state as some type of Wakanda fantasy. That I'm going to go into Africa and actually live a life and find a man, right? Or find something that I cannot find in America or the land I was born in. Only to realize or run into a culture shock. That some of the people in Africa, men in particular, who are receiving you into the country aren't what you think they are. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say not all, because we can never not all everything. But too many of those people that you run into has an agenda. And guess what? When it comes to scamming you and linking into you and actually moving you out of your any level of protection, getting finessed out of everything you have, even your life. Hey, it's very few times sisters actually have that as a part of their idea when traveling. Okay, so I'm here to talk about this today, right? And we're going to go into a few things. We're gonna try to discuss and answer certain questions like, has society intentionally devalued the image of sisters? If you can drive down the value of something or even a person, then you can have access to it for absolutely nothing. And if so, what can be done about that? I believe the systems have intentionally devalued all of us so that the world don't care what actually happens to us. But God sees us as the apple of his eye. We're the apple of his eye. He understands the value in us. And we must walk in what? We must walk in a moral light. So too, listen to me clearly, demand the value God has in us. Take our image back. And we're going to talk about that. They have intentionally devalued us to have, especially with our sisters, so that they can have access to our sisters for absolutely nothing. And only our sisters, let me tell you, only our sisters can do something about that part. Okay? Now we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it because the news has ignored what we're about to talk about. There's a brother by the name of O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's an intelligent brother. And he's living in Afrika right now. And, you know, there's some negative and positives. I don't agree with everything that any so-called content creator says, right? There's no people out there who agree with everything, everybody on everything, right? But all in all, I believe O'Shea Duke Jackson, and looking at some of his stuff and hearing what he had to say with his intentions, I believe he has an honest intention to present our people, right, in a positive light, knowing that the Western world has demonized the image of our people, right? And there was a 15-minute video of sisters, of a sister actually, it was an hour and 15 minutes, excuse me. An hour and 15 minutes of sisters actually talking about how Black American women, who we know are from the tribe of Judah in particular, born in America, descendants of slaves, that they are coming up missing in high numbers in Africa, and it's going on. It has gone on unreported. People are getting their things stolen from them, right? Going into the countries, right? They're linking in with people, not realizing that there's a whole, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you folks, there's a whole, really what you would call sweatshop of scammers who come together to lure women in particular out of America into certain parts of Africa. Okay. And you have to realize, and what sisters don't understand, listen to me clearly. The protection that you are afforded in America or in the Western world is a privilege concerned to when you go into some of these countries of Africa, it isn't the same. So we're going there believing that the laws will protect us the same, and you couldn't be you couldn't be further from the truth. Now, some sisters over there know this is going on, that there's culture, that it's a culture shock, just assimilating yourself into Africa. But they're trying to cover it up. Because why? They are attempting to cover it up because part of their podcast game is to sell a fantasy of coming to Africa where all your problems are solved. So they'll go over there, set up a podcast, and sell you Wakanda. They'll sell you the Wakanda package, not letting you understand the struggle. So they intentionally leave things out, which I believe is dangerous. Is dangerous. So when you go into another country, you find that to make money readily towards disposable income is almost impossible unless you travel into the country rich already. So what people figure out is, well, if I don't have retirement, if I don't have my own money, right, I have to find a way to remotely bring in American money from America. How to do so? Get a computer, start a podcast, right? Something that you don't need to be in America to do, to extract American resources, which transfers into you living real good in what they would deem a third world country based on the American dollar compared to the African currency. You understand that? So because some of these people are hustling, like some of these sisters, they're not warning our sisters against what they'll actually experience coming off of the airplane. So it's my position, right? It's my position to now tell sisters, nah, if we're dealing with issues, and even brothers, if we're dealing with issues, it doesn't matter where you travel, right? Where you are, so are you. And it doesn't matter where you go. Your environment isn't going to change what we must change internally. Location doesn't change that. So we have predators, and I'm talking about some serious predators from amongst the ranks of our own people in Africa, who are in particular focusing on taking everything they can from privileged, what they would call African Americans, especially women. Because why? Women are a softer target, right? So you have to realize it's not what you're seeking to go to America, go to Africa and be embraced by the motherland and people welcoming you back. Come back, my sister. Come back, my brother. No, they're not seeing you that way. Not the majority of them anyway. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to say fair use to this, right? But I think that brothers and sisters in particular, because I'm going to show you where we're going with this. You have a lot of people believing you're going to go into Africa, sisters in particular, and you're going to be, you're going to find vibranium, okay? All right? No, it's a culture shock. That's number one. You're not protected in these other countries as America. There's no just calling 911. And hey, don't run into a police who's a part of these con games, right? You can have police who's a part of the network coming in finessing you off the plane, right? But I digress. Let's talk about it real quick. Let's talk about it. How many women have died in Africa within the last few months? Please hit the like button. There's a threat to sisters going into Africa, and we must talk about it. All right. Now, of course, I'm going somewhere with this, but let's start here. Fair use for educational purposes only. Right. Let's see here. And I'm talking about the organ game, the black web, the organ thing. They're connected to, a lot of people are connected to all of that, folks. Right? And you think you're going over there, you found Mandingo. Listen, life is not one big Stella got her groove back episode. Life is real. Okay? So, hey, in Africa, it's showing you just how real it is. All right? 1 second here. Let me go here. Let me set this up. 1 moment. Let me set this up so that you can all see this. Right? You going over there thinking, and guess what? I mean, you going over there thinking, okay. And another thing, you got to understand whether or not someone is trying to finesse you into a green card, into citizenship, right? Understand, folks. I traveled all around the world, folks. And don't you know that your passport, an American passport and a UK passport, is worth its weight in gold? A brother will get off the plane with his passport, and you can have another brother looking at him, sizing him up to see if he can pass for you, folks. And I'm not making this up. If he can pass for you, the only thing he need to do is help you with your bags, help you set up a place to get yourself a place in order to find out where your passport is. Okay. I'm going to tell you, he'll be standing next to you, checking shoulders and shoe sizes. What size shoe you wear? He'll be like, brother, why are you pushing up on me like this? He's like, I'm going to be you. That's what's going on here. And sisters, y'all don't understand. When you go inside some of these countries, they're looking at your passport is more valuable to them, a lot of them. I'm talking about those who are greeting you off of the plane. Your passport is more important to them than your life. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. Your passport, sister, and the access to citizenship for this man, for him, that's more important than you are to him. Because the only thing he have to do, they already have, a lot of them, a negative view of Americans, black Americans. So if you have access, if he can get access to citizenship through you, he can just ditch you with the citizenship and just find another. Right? And there's nothing I can do being then some people say, well, Elder, it shouldn't be men like that. There's nothing I can do about men who think like this. Okay? There's nothing I can do about that. This is a way of life for a lot of people. So, listen, I'm rolling it out the way it is, okay? So let's go into it. Let's go into it. Fair use, fair use.
Imagine you got home early one day and you turned on Netflix and you wanted to watch a horror film. And there you saw a film about an American lady who moved to the Gambia. And you know what? At first,
Let's go.
Imagine you got home early one day and you turned on Netflix and you wanted to watch a horror film. And there you saw a film about an American lady who moved to the Gambia. And you know what? At first, everything was okay. But she predicted she had a stalker. She was going around all over the world telling people that somebody was stalking her and somebody wanted to poison her. And nobody believed her. Some folks could have even thought she was crazy. Then, 2 months later,
fair use,
she dies. Well, you will look at the film, you will say it's well orchestrated, well executed, well written, bravo. But then, what if I told you it's not a movie? It's not a movie script. There are no actors. It's the truth, because that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, even Hollywood script writers couldn't make up what we're about to talk about. Pow. Rewind! Today we're talking about the life of Anja Afrika, also known as Andrea Martin. From her accent, it seems like she moved from the East Coast, most notably New York, to come to the Gambia. She was...
Now, this is for educational use only, right? For educational use. And I would say go and support the brother's channel, O'Shea Duke Jackson. But he quantified what I wanted to talk about anyway without us having, 100 hours of content, because sisters over in Africa are trying to talk this away without explaining the danger. So this is why I use this brother's video, because you got sisters over there, podcasts, who make a living selling Wakanda to people over here in America so that they can sustain themselves in Africa without telling sisters in America the real danger for our sisters there. Fair use.
Martin. From her accent, it seems like she moved from the East Coast, most notably New York, to come to the Gambia. She was excited. She even dressed in the African garb. She seemed to be a strong spiritual person who loved the community. So that's why she came to Gambia, like so many other women.
Hold up. Let me bring Elder Lawyer in. Let's see. Hold on. Elder Lawyer? Okay, hold on. Let me get Elder Lawyer. One moment. Let's see here. Okay, Elder Lawyer, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom. I'm telling brothers and sisters, I wanted to warn them. And we're going to talk about this because they have no idea, what sisters in particular, the danger they're in traveling to Africa alone. Right?
Right.
Now, if anyone would know about this, you would, you've traveled into Africa. Your wife is from Africa. So I think that we need to have brothers and sisters understand the reality of traveling into some of these countries. And,
right.
Especially alone, right?
Right.
So let me pull you in. Let's see. So you can hear it on your side, Elder, if you may.
Yes, sir. I'm listening. I'm listening through YouTube.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. All right. Okay, we have you there. All right. How you doing, Elder Lawyer?
I'm doing well, sir. I can't complain at all.
Okay, so I'm playing the video. Let's jump right in.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, I just got your message. These things are just so slow. All right, let's go.
And of course, I've always told you on this channel, ladies, that coming to Africa by yourself might not be the best idea. But she came anyway, and she was really there fellowshipping with the community until one day she started to deal with the new man that she felt she was vibing with. Now, let me stop the show.
See that? She found a man that she thought that she was vibing with. Now, in the United States, you are afforded some level of protection operating with strangers. But suppose this person had you as a mark all the time coming off the plane. Huh?
Show there. She talked about the fact that whenever she came to the Gambia, that she felt that somebody was watching her. Let's check it out.
A lot of it is related to single women in the Gambia. So first, let me give you a little just preview of what happens when you.
Okay, let me get it. Hold on. Let me get it. One moment. Hold on. 1 second, Elder Lawyer, okay? Let me get it here. 1 second. I'm going to put it right where she is. All right. 1 second. Show. That's number 1. All right, I got that. 1 second. Right there.
Imagine you got home early.
There it is right there. 1 second. Let's pick it up from where she is. Boom. There it is. Thank you. All right, we're going to pick it up from where we are. Fair use for educational purposes only.
To the Gambia, that she felt that somebody was watching her. Let's check it out.
A lot of it is related to single women in the Gambia. So first, let me give you a little just preview of what happens when you come to Gambia single, okay? You may have it in your mind that you're not trying to date anyone. You just come in here to live your best life. Well, honey, from the time you get your feet on the ground, and I'm talking from the airport, people already have their eyes on you, okay? They know what area you're going to. It's been reported where you're going to be living. There'll be that one person that thinks, well, I'm going to be the person to get that individual because that's going to be my cash cow.
That's interesting. And this is a warning that she put out in the Gambia. But let's continue. She started dating this man, a younger man, I'm assuming. Then she found out that something was off with him. And this is why she said this.
It only hit me today because I was like, I have a stalker. And I haven't told anyone. And it's not healthy. So let me just tell y'all what's going on. Okay, so I was seeing someone and I thought us meeting was like, you know, a spiritual thing. The bond, like we connected, we have good conversation, but there was something about this individual, but I could not put my finger on what it was. But you know.
Now you see that? Now, why did she believe, listen, Elder Lawyer, why did she believe that her connecting with this man was a spiritual experience? Because this was her fantasy going into Africa, connecting with the motherland, right? The soil and, you know, getting back our roots that was lost through captivity, connecting back with our roots. And don't you think that the African scammers understand this fantasy? So they're going to play the game, right? They're going to play the spiritual connection back to the motherland con game, right? I mean, let me tell you, these guys in Africa, Elder Lawyer, I'm talking about the scammers, right? They'll make Umar Johnson look like Mr. Rogers. Okay? Let me tell you, Umar Johnson is on a low level of scammery, all right, compared to these guys. right? So now she believed that she done found her African king, right? And God have sent her African king, the black knight in shining armor, to heal all of the hurt experienced in that slave land called America, right? Now check this out.
Okay, so I was seeing someone, and I thought us meeting was like, you know, a spiritual thing. The bond, like we connected, we have good conversation, but there was something about this individual, but I could not put my finger on what it was. But, you know, I figure you're getting to know, take it, you know, keep him at a distance, but get to know him. So the more I get to know him, my spiritual abilities are coming in at the same time. So now
now her spiritual abilities is kicking in. Now that he done probably shook her for, you know, for every American currency, you know, that was transferred. Now her spiritual senses is kicking in. Right?
But there was something about this individual, but I could not put my finger on what it was. But, you know, I figure you're getting to know, take it, you know, keep him at a distance, but get to know him. So the more I get to know him, my spiritual abilities are coming in at the same time. So now I'm starting to have divinations. And when I tell you what I saw, y'all gonna be like,
See? She's over there dealing also, unfortunately for the woman, and may the Most High rest her soul, she was dealing in this dark type of African science that a lot of people go to Africa to hone and be a part of also. So now her divinations are showing her something, right?
Spiritual
her words.
Abilities are coming in at the same time. So now I'm starting to have divinations. And when I tell you what I saw,
what you
y'all
saw?
gonna be like, I saw this individual dealing with same-sex orgies. I saw this individual in different relationships. I saw a lot of children around. And I mean, everything I'm seeing is nude. Okay, so now I'm thinking, hold up. This individual's in a cult.
She tapped into a lot of what this guy was going in a little too late, right? So obviously, right, she thought it was spiritual that God, or whatever God she served, sent him this young man. Only to think afterwards that, okay, she started tapping into some dark stuff and seeing, you know, LBGT at its finest, right? So let's keep going.
This is not I'm just a normal person. This is a foot soldier for the devil.
The scary thing is that she felt that he was involved in something else that was shady.
We need to wrap this situation up.
Fair use.
He says, what do you mean? I said, there are such things as soulmates, twin spirits, and karmics. I said, you are a karmic. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, you are probably someone who killed me in a past life.
Okay, now, it's going off the rails, but I'm going to show you where it's going, though, folks, because some people might look at this and say, well, I'm dealing with the Most High, right? I'm dealing with the Most High. I'm not dealing with any craft that she's dealing with. And because she was dealing with something dark, this happened to her, right? Some people are probably thinking that. But not, folks, over 14 women have gone or have been unalived. I have to watch YouTube guidelines here. Have been unalived within the last few years in Africa. And you mean to tell me all of these women who are mysteriously coming up missing, unsolved deaths, mind you, no one is going to jail, that all of them are dealing with the craft she was?
He was just like, why would you
Elder
say that?
Akar.
I said, because I see exactly.
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
If I can slide in just for a second.
Yeah.
For those who think that way and believe that it's simply because of what she was dealing with
Yeah.
that caused the result in which when she received, may the Lord rest her soul. Think about this. Even our father Abraham, who we know without a shadow of a doubt was a man of God, was close with the Most High, was communicating and dealing with the Most High. Even he had to take precautions when going into Africa because he knew the dangers that would be on the other side.
Exactly. Hey, when going into Egypt, he had to pose Sarah, his wife, as his sister, knowing that they was going to cut him up and just take his woman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm glad you made that example. There's always been warnings going into Africa for our people, right? Let alone, you think Sarah would have went to Egypt by herself? Think about that, elder lawyer. She would have had enough sense not to travel into Egypt alone.
Right.
Great point.
And think about that. I mean, even on that point, Abraham was a man.
He was a man.
And he knew the dangers that were on the other side.
Yeah. Some of our sisters are playing hard and loose with this freedom. And they believe that the protections under the law applies outside the United States. Because why?
Right.
Some of them never experience any real interactions internationally outside of tourist areas while traveling. Right? So here it is. When you get into the interworkings of a society outside of the tourist area, man, it's a whole nother ball game. And I'm just here because guess what? The people that are trying to finesse others from going there are only selling our sisters the dream. They're only telling our sisters only the good parts about being able to travel. They're not telling you that you just can't fill out an application and work somewhere. No, you're going to find yourself in less case financially than the people who know how to operate without money on that level. Because any money you have is what they will build off of. Okay? That's how it works. You're coming in automatically. I'm going to tell you a lot of what brothers and sisters, why these people in Africa and others, not all, but a lot of them, why they feel justified in doing this to our people who come into their country. You know why? Because when you travel into another country, listen to me and listen to me good. Your nationality is American. It has nothing to do with whether or not you look like them. Your nationality is American. Therefore, they feel justified in finessing and taking your money because they blame America to why their currency has run into the ground, into the depths of the seventh hell.
Right.
So they look at America. America is the blame for why they're suffering. And then you come in with an American passport and with an American currency, which makes them justified in taking it from you. See, America did this to me. And now you got American dollars. See, you have to look at it as because in order for them to do things like this, elder lawyer, destroy our people, take our sisters' money and all these things, they have to convince themselves that there's a moral reason to do so.
Exactly.
And what they usually settle on is what? The foreign affairs of America. So you're coming over there and not realizing that they have resentment against the country you came out of. They're not going to say, well, you suffered in America, racism and all these things, because when you get off the plane, you have your nationality is American. And a lot of our people a lot of our sisters and others don't deal with that reality and get smacked right in their face when the people in Africa begin to tell you, we see you differently than you see us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the reality of this. Right? So let's go back into it.
Who you are. I said, you a demon. Straight up, you a demon. I see who you are. I see your sexual preferences. I see I see all of you. It's in the tiles. When I do water divination, I can see you. So me seeing who you are knows that I don't want nobody like you around me. I know what my journey is, and my journey does not include anybody energy harvesting off of me, trying to be part of my legacy, trying to steal what I'm trying to build. I don't want nobody like that around.
So now what y'all didn't know, because I've seen other videos, I'm sure I'm kind of moved past this right in a moment. What they didn't show you was how she went weeks telling sisters of how great this relationship she found was, and how the spirit brought them together in all this. For weeks, she was telling sisters out there how great this man was. So going right here, this is her softening the blow with realizing that he isn't what she sold to them in America. And now this man is the devil himself. So to not have to explain how she was selling this man for weeks to single women, our sisters in America. Now think about that.
Around me. And he was so hurt. When I tell you his eyes filled up, they got real bloodshot red. And he was like, I can't believe I'm hearing this right now. I'm just in shock. I said, well, I'm gonna need you to process that because I stand by what I say. Let me tell y'all something. Do you know every time this man talked that white dog flipped on his back?
What? That's right. She felt that he was in
a white dog flipped on his back. That's a whole other thing they got going on. But I need to go straight to the other women that have gone missing there. Hold tight.
Places no more. Ever since I realized that this individual was stalking me, I said, you know what? I don't see him, but I know he is watching me.
Fair
and
use.
Sure enough, what he was doing was hiring the people that are working around me. There's 3 houses being constructed around me. He's hiring.
Now, this is the part you have to hear, brothers and sisters. I'm not going into this personal witchcraft, divination, seer into who he is. Now we're going to deal with the interworkings of what this relationship was about. And this happens coming off the plane. This man was responsible for what? Listen clearly.
Doing was hiring the people that are working around me.
Hiring the people that are working around me. Now, let me give you an insight to what that is, brothers and sisters. Listen to this, because unless I give you details, you won't know in depth what she's talking about. Once they have an American on the chain, which means she is paying this guy to do something, he can now bring other people in so to get a cut. If someone wants to bring her gas to the house once a month so that she can have propane, he cuts a deal with somebody and say, we're going to charge this, we're going to split it in half. And is she not going to know exactly how much we paid for this? We paid Gambian money, but we'll split that. Someone who gives her a cell phone line, they'll negotiate that away from her and make her believe that he's a guy who works in that area to actually give internet, but really they're finessing her American money, charging her hands over fist. A driver, all of these people, it's a whole group of them. Once you got someone on the line, an American, everyone wants a piece. She says that he's hiring all the people around her, not even realize that she's the mark. She was discussed in advance, brothers and sisters. I know this real time, traveling the world. She think that this guy is a mover and shaker.
Right.
That this guy got it going on. All these people are working for him. No. It's him orchestrating the whole thing, bringing someone else in the mix so that he can now carve off a different scenario to charge her for. Who knows? It could have been a cousin, his cousin, around the corner pulling lint out of his navel. She said, man, I need some internet. He'll go, get up right now. And he becomes the internet guy. Yeah, this is the guy right here. He's the one dude that, yeah, but it's going to cost you this.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's him orchestrating the whole thing. Taking a line from someone's house and moving it into her house so that she thinks she got internet. It's the same guy doing everything, using people to charge separately. Did y'all know this? So she think that he's this mover and shaker, right? The Wakanda package. Let's keep going.
Do you know every time this man talked that white dog flipped on his back?
What? That's right. She felt that he was in the cult.
Construction workers and having them watch me and report when I am leaving, when I'm coming back. When I would go to walk in the woods, I would feel like someone is following me. Sure enough, he's telling these people when I go on the beach that own the restaurants, look and see where she's going. Look and see who she's talking to. Mind you, I'm always alone. So that's probably not the best thing either. I know everybody, but I move by myself. So this is more than somebody, you will have people latch onto you and they will harvest energy from you.
But stop the show. She had also talked about this on her channel before, about the domestic violence that goes on in the Gambia towards women from the diaspora.
Greetings, family. So I'm here today to talk about the domestic violence that is taking place on the continent that no one seems to be talking about. A lot of folks come on talking about relationships and dating on the continent. But there are situations where sisters are coming over here and dating Gambian men and realizing that they're not who they thought they were, okay?
Oh, let's stop there for a second. Folks, domestic abuse is an entirely different definition in these countries, opposed to what we've learned in America, folks. Sisters have it great in the Western world and in America. Okay? These guys over there, folks, let me tell you, what are you talking about domestic abuse? What are you talking? What is that? I just told you what I needed you to do. Okay? I'm just, what we do over here is we teach lessons physically. Okay? This is what we do here. And sister's like, what? Can I call the what? 911 don't come like that in these areas, folks. And I believe that when they be selling this stuff to our people online, these sisters that are going over there, and I understand why they're doing it, because they have to, what? They have to sell a good story so to build their content and also get American money to sustain their life in these countries. When these sisters be actually fantasize in Africa, not giving them the reality. So now she started talking to the lawyer about the domestic abuse. Now this is real domestic abuse. We're not talking about, I'm being abused verbally, right? Mm-hmm. because it went from one point where men knew that, okay, man can't be hitting a woman, to where it went to, okay, well, you are emotionally abusing me then, or you're monetarily abusing me. You're keeping money from me, right? But no, this is the real, in Africa, is the reason why they came up with laws in America, right, concerning domestic abuse. And guess what? The needle isn't moving over there concerning that. And sisters don't know. You can't go over there and just say anything you want. No, it's a different thing. But I think she figured it out though. And it's a shame. Here's the culture shock.
On the continent that no one seems to be talking about. A lot of folks come on talking about relationships and dating on the continent, but there are situations where sisters are coming over here and dating Gambian men and realizing that they're not who they thought they were. Okay, so that representative has left the building.
You know why? Because brothers in America, to some degree, have been tamed and know not to go there. The consequences isn't worth it. So the system in of itself have tamed brothers over here to know that if you hit a woman, okay, there's consequences. Not over there. So some go over there believing, okay, I'm going to get a better man.
After, I guess, a few days, weeks, they find out that the individual that they're with is possessive, unstable, physically aggressive. These individuals, when they are told they no longer want to see these men, are being abused. These men are forcing their way into their compounds, into their homes, and no one's stopping them. Because the logic is when you get involved with somebody that person now sort of possesses you or has access to you whenever they want.
Not trying to say I told you so or anything, but this is serious business. Anyways, she felt that somebody was watching her wherever she went. She felt that also somebody might be poisoning her food. And she kept on telling people about this. She kept on talking about the issues that was going on in the Gambia. But I want to go back to this stream because she was still living and she wasn't in so much a fear of her life. She felt that she could make it, but she did talk about another sister that died unexpectedly. And her name was Audrey Davis.
There was one sister here. I didn't even know her, but in a way I did, because it seemed like every place I had ever been and did a video, this sister was doing videos the same way. So we was like really had a lot in common, but I didn't know her. Her name was Audrey Davis. So all I hear is this sister is supposed to be getting married in 1 week. All of a sudden, the sister turns up dead. She's 54 years old. How? From what I heard, she didn't have any health problems, computer equipment. She's buying land and chickens. Her name was Audrey Davis. And I believe the channel she had was Soul Star Healing, something like that.
So then I started to go and look and find out who Audrey Davis was. She was a very beautiful and attractive lady. Here is Audrey Davis when she was living.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Solar Sister channel. It's your girl Solar Sister coming to you once again with another video. Guys, I wanted to come on here and just share with you a little information about the plans that I have for the land that was recently purchased in the village. Before we move forward though, if you would, go ahead, thumbs up the video, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, hit the notification bell if you'd like to be made aware of upcoming videos, and feel free to share with anyone you think might benefit. So guys, I mentioned in the video entitled What's Been Going On Lately that there was some land that was purchased in the village. We actually demarcated that land last week. That was hilarious. There's a little short video showing some of that. But the land is beautiful, so peaceful.
She was getting ready to get married to a younger Gambian man. But let's go back to see what Anja Afrika said what happened with that.
So I ended up just doing a post and, you know, a couple of other things for the sister. And then we ended up talking to her best friend on the phone. We get on the phone with the best friend. And the best friend says to me, Andrea, did you know her? And I said, no, but I feel like that could have been me. I don't.
Elder Lawyer, man, it's the Most High that we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sister here. Thank you, Dels Kelly. She said, this is a shame, Elder Lawyer. I thank you for this. I'm following a sister named Kathy on IG selling this same dream about moving to Africa. You see this? This is a movement. See? And what our sisters don't realize is that some people of our people get over their sisters. They feel stuck because they put all their money into it and don't have no way to get back because they knew they made a mistake, and they turn podcasting as a way of fishing Americas into a new gig to sustain them by saying, and now the people she got running around that's finessing her can now get off of her and bring in another American. It's like a train that's being ran internationally, coercing sisters over there to be played so that she can sustain. Right? This is a reoccurring issue, and our sisters don't even realize how do this girl have so much time to just, her whole position is trying to convince us to go to where she is. Where did she get all this time? That's her gig. She's sustained by helping you come into the country, but now you're there and stuck, you're on your own. And that's what they're not telling them this. Right? Let's go.
I need to know her. So let me say, yes, that's my sister. Okay. So she said, well, you know, the husband told me an odd story. I said, what husband? The man she's supposed to marry. She said he was mad because he was calling the family, telling the family in the States, y'all are too selfish. Why won't you send for her body so I can accompany the body back to the States? Do y'all hear this? All the man had to say to the family, he is Gambian. Why haven't you sent for her body yet so I can come back with the coffin? That's what he had to say to the family. So when I talk to the sister now, the sister says to me, the girl, her friend, she says, do you know how she died? I said, I don't know, but I feel like it had something to do with her heart. And she said, how do you know that? I said, what do you mean, how do I know? She said, the husband called me, the fiance, and said he had to jump up and pee and go to the bathroom. And when he came back, she was having a heart attack. Is that not what happened to me when I ran to the bathroom? I said, okay, I'll see what time it is. She's trying to tell me something. So she's going to communicate with me again. Then another time, so we had that conversation. We talked about, organizing, talking to the rest of the family. To see.
Now, I think she's talking about talking to the dead, right? But I'm going to leave that there, right?
If we could put the clues together. About a week later, I have another dream where the sister comes to me and she shoves a plate of food in my stomach so hard that the pain woke me up out my sleep. And I said, whoa, sis, I'm new to this. I'm going to need you to kind of be a little easy with me, but I get it. So I believe that the sister was poisoned. Okay. She was poisoned, and all these different stories that this fiance is telling to people.
Okay, we're not supposed to be talking to the dead. We're not supposed to be necromancing or divining. So there's another thing with this African thing that we have to put a lid on. Okay? This hoodoo, witchcraft, divination, as if you're spiritual, operating in your chakra, all of this crap. Let me tell you. Believe it or not, we're living in a time where the Most High is humbling witches.
Mm-hmm.
It's humble time. I'm going to tell you right now, because if what you were dealing with was actually working, then there would be different outcomes. When are you going to realize that the Most High is fighting against this behavior? And people trying to become spiritual, claiming that they can see things and all this other stuff. And guess what? This is primarily, believe it or not, because men ain't into this mess. This is women trying to convince other women that they're dealing with something high and spiritual and all that because they got too much time on their hands. Because any man with common sense wouldn't be listening to this nonsense. Okay? So this is what women do in speaking to other women concerning their spirituality and all that, and it needs to stop. Okay? It needs to stop. The outcome, right? Your outcomes isn't showing anything beneficial in dealing with this particular type of religion. Where's the outcomes? Where's the positive outcomes? That's another thing that we're seeing. Usually it's these spiritual, either if they're young, they're on some type of weed and a free spirit and all that. You can find them who can be easily coerced into this, or older women who should have learned better.
It's because he is the one responsible for it. So fast forward, he now has her land. He had the house that she paid for how many years? This is what they do here.
Hold up now. She came in with American money, elder lawyer. That's the piece I wanted to go into, not when she was sleeping, someone started feeding her something. We're going to ignore that. But let's deal with what happened when she woke up. When she woke up, the land that belonged to this woman that she used to pay in American dollars now belongs to this young man who she ended up getting into a relationship with. This was a come up for him. He got a house, property, and all that out of the deal, and she conveniently is living in the spiritual realm right now. And guess what? The family, elder lawyer, the family can hope for an investigation.
Right.
But how do you think that's going to end out? How do you think that's going to end out, elder lawyer? Who knows? The authorities, some of the authorities in those areas could have been a part of what went down and got a piece.
Right.
Our people operate in this naivety, not realizing you thinking you're escaping something, and you run into your own demise. And only pride allows people to stay in something that they know is wrong. Right? You don't want to admit how a mistake, because you sold it to the world as euphoria, as some level of I found Wakanda. And instead of swallowing your pride and saying, I'm too deep into this, but I'm not going any further, let me get on a plane and get to safety, you live this thing out, hoping for a change. And this is why women should not be traveling without a husband. It makes a woman what? An easy target, a mark.
So, I'm like, just stop.
Audrey Davis met her fate in the Gambia. We don't know how she died, but
this sister right here lost her life too. Right? Let's show you. If I can get her here, one moment.
from the African American community are
Stop.
Audrey Davis.
Audrey Davis. She is no longer with us either. Another educated black woman from tribe of Judah who went into Africa, and now the man she messed with owned all the property she paid for. And this is sad. This is sad. For years, they've been selling us this fantasy, heaven on earth in Africa, and it isn't a reality, folks.
Met her fate in the Gambia. We don't know how she died, but Anja Afrika somehow got sick. And I saw this GoFundMe. Somebody sent this to me, I think a day or so before she died. And she was in the hospital. She wasn't responsive. She passed away. Her son, I don't know if he had to come from New York City or the States to come and get the body, but it was a big mess. Some people believe that, she might have had a stroke or she could have been poisoned. But this is like the 5th lady in Gambia from the African American community or from the larger diaspora who has passed away in Gambia. This is not to throw shade at any.
Hey, folks, this was the 5th person within a few years. And this, folks, we're only talking about the personalities that were streaming and all that from Africa. The noticed sisters who went over there. What about the people who go over there following these women who never streams? Who are really online?
Anybody from the Gambia. I know that anybody can die anywhere. You can die in the States. I mean, there was a big shooting at the Kansas City Super Bowl parade. We know that there are shootings that happen at colleges and everything like that. This is not to scare you from the Gambia, but it should put you on notice. It should make you become alert. And if you're a lady that is traveling to the Gambia by yourself, you should really think about that very seriously. You should probably only do so if you're a married woman or if you're a woman about to get married. That's the one thing I can say, because I know people are going to hop in the comments and say, hey, you know what? Nothing's happening to me in the Gambia. Everything's okay for me. But that doesn't mean that everything won't be okay for someone else. And we have to really be honest here when we talk about our positioning in African countries. Now listen, stop the show. I love Uganda. I live and work in Uganda. I am not gonna leave Uganda. But there is a certain way that I move in Uganda. It's a certain things that I go by, and I keep myself to a certain extent, and I shield certain things around me so I don't meet certain implications. Now, I'm not saying that these people do not do that, but you still have to realize that as much as you are back on the motherland, you're still a foreigner. That is going to be the case. All right.
And I'm glad he's saying this, because he's giving you a male's perspective, right? Because when a man goes into a scenario, he understands that this isn't a fantasy. This is real life. It's not what I think it's going to be. The threat from other men within the country is a reality for men at all times. So therefore, there's a certain level of caution that comes with it, instead of this blind optimism we see with sisters traveling alone. And so I'm glad he's talking about this, folks. And I wouldn't put this out there if I didn't care. Okay?
Opportunities here. There's a lot of things you can do here. There's great things happening. But remember, you are a foreigner. And I keep telling y'all this. I keep seeing so many sisters, that come, they're older, they get involved with a younger, usually broker man, and they don't know what they're getting into. And of course, they end up taking care of the guy. And they could be in cases where they're abused or something happens to you. You don't really know what you're dealing with. And like my brother Dynas Tamir says, and I always tell you this, wealthy guys in that country, they're already taken for the most part. There are not many men that's just hanging around Africa that.
So that's another thing he's mentioning, that the men that you would fantasize about that's wealthy, they have women already. So then you have to ask yourself, going into a country, what is my pick of the litter, if I can use that word, if I'm traveling with what? With the mind to have a relationship, when the majority of rich men are taken in these countries outright, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand this. So this fantasy people are telling you doesn't exist. Usually you must be able to parse through through what's coming off of the plane when you see them, right? People scavenging. People looking at you as an opportunity You must weed through them and understand their intentions first before meeting the man that you believe, is your king. Right?
Can just really provide for a lady on an American standard. If you're an older lady, you're 30, 40-year-old lady, a lot of the guys that you would be interested in that have money are already gone. All right, you can kind of forget about that. So you have to come in mind and understanding that, like I said, you can be followed in certain places. People can try to target you. They know that you can.
They will follow you in certain instances. They know your age. They already did your profile. They know you are a mark. They know you're running away from something. And they're seeking to exploit all of your insecurities in a strange land, without knowing anyone. That's low-hanging fruit for some of these scammers.
Live alone. And of course, as a woman, you could be considered a weaker link. That's just how it is. And don't try to say that I'm hating on you or I'm hating on women, because again, what is your family gonna say if you come back dead?
And shout out to O'Shea. He does great work, professional work.
Are really hurt. They're gonna want you to make sure that you can come back and see your family, right? That's exactly what I'm trying to do. So guys, take heed to what's going on in these places. Take an understanding, ask people what's going on in these places, because I don't want you to become the next victim. So guys,
and I'm glad the brother brought that out. All praises be to the Most High, right? O'Shea, I'm going to go over a few things to have. Because what I'm hoping to do, not to discourage sisters, elder, but to bring a reality to the negatives they were really here by these sisters that are in these countries trying to lure them over there. Right? So what I'm going to do now, because you have to realize, folks, here's the reality. You can have a white man that comes over into Africa and do what he want to a sister while the whole village know what's going on, without any threat, without him deeming the village as a threat at all. Now think about that. If you got a woman, elder lawyer, who's from Africa, where a white man can come in and do whatever he want to do to that woman, and none of the men say anything, what protection is afforded for our sisters coming into those same areas?
Exactly.
Right? Think about that. The sisters that are living there can be exploited without men protecting them. Their own men. Let me show y'all real quick. Right? Let's go straight in. Fair use for educational purposes only.
This woman asked God to give her a white husband, but years later,
this woman in Africa asked God to give her a white husband.
But years later, she regretted it.
I was so tired of everything. I said, God, please, give me a white boyfriend.
Fair
who
use.
Will take care of me, who will give me a family, what I need.
God answered her request after only 30 minutes.
Within that minute, God answered my prayer.
But years later, she regretted it.
Now, folks, this man right here, folks, and I want y'all to see this. He couldn't get a woman of his own ethnicity or race on the level she is. He wouldn't be able to find a woman of his race on that level.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked, so then we have to ask, elder lawyer, have they intentionally devalued our sisters to have access to them in number? Knowing that women of their own race wouldn't choose a guy like this.
Right.
But to her, she been praying for a white man. And this guy shows up.
Mm.
Right? Now let's see how it goes down. Beautiful black woman.
Minutes.
In
Within
Africa.
that minute, God answered my prayer.
But elder lawyer, she says, and in that minute she prayed for a white man, God answered her prayers. Okay, let's go.
Years later, she regretted it.
You understand?
Fair use.
Can you imagine? All your friends, they think this your husband takes care of you. He's the best. You yourself, me myself, I have the best husband. And here, the whole village is in my house, coming to rescue me.
So the village comes out while this guy, in a drunken stupor, not only gave this woman children, but is treating her, horrendously. Right? Now, he comes into her village and do this.
In the beginning, everything seemed fine.
It fell apart. This is my husband, Sasha, I call him Sasha. He was not taking care of anything. His work was drinking, daily, drinking. He would maybe go check on things, blah, blah, blah. When there are no workers, put some food and then he forgets. I tried. I had opened a small salon there. He told me, no, close it. It's not bringing anything. Like, okay, you want it to bring us more like $100 a month, which is that could bring such there. He told me, no, that's not work. Close it. So I closed. I stayed home. Now, that day, I remember we had a very big fight.
Elder lawyer, look at what's going on here. She says that day they had a very big fight. You would have thought that this guy, if he had something going on, that he would have taken her out of these low means into where he from.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, this guy could have got off a park bench in England somewhere, living with a one-way ticket to Africa.
Right. Mm-mm-mm.
Look at this guy. So one day they get in a fight, right? Because she's beginning to realize, okay, this guy isn't my knight in shining armor. He's not what I prayed for, right? And what I'm showing sisters is what? If the sisters in Africa isn't getting protection in some instances from strangers coming in and taking advantage of their women, what protections do you think you'll have traveling alone?
When I tried to talk to him, we were upstairs and we were getting back. I told him, no, I'm going to stop you. You're not
fair
going
use.
He held my hand behind my back. And then, do you know these Russians? They go to army when they are 21 years, like all the men. So this one has also been in the army before. And he was twisting my hand behind my back. And
he's twisting her arm. He's abusing this woman. And you notice no cops are coming anywhere.
I even pissed on myself. It was painful, man.
Lord have mercy.
So painful. And I cried and cried. Such I don't know where your passport is. I don't know. He twisted me more. You have to tell me. I lied to him. I know where it is. I'll show you. That time, I don't even know where it is. He twisted me.
He gonna blame her for where his passport is, folks. And I wanted to use that as an example because he understands the value of his passport also.
He got downstairs and he said, give it to me. I don't know where it is. He strangled me.
He strangled her.
He strangled me until blood started coming out of my mouth. And I was screaming in that house, people to come and help me because I had locked the doors. I was screaming. You need help. People came, almost the whole village. And the gate is locked. They were throwing stones at the gate. They cannot enter that house. That Mzungu house, they cannot enter. The real Sasha was a very fierce person. So it's my mom who came. She's like that minute away walk from my house. If I shouted, like very, very shouting.
Her mother was a 30-minute walk to her house. Now, I need y'all to think about that. With all the conveniences, Elder Lawyer, we have come accustomed to in the United States to have immediate response to danger when it comes to domestic violence or whatever the case might be.
Right.
Help isn't readily there. And they know it when you come into these countries that you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Even the women there understand this. And our sisters come in with the wrong view, of these particular places they're traveling to. This is, you know what I believe, Elder? They believe in their minds, I think to some degree, that they're going on one big vacation.
Yeah.
One big vacation that never ends is how it's being sold to them. When even the women, a white guy can come in and totally almost unalive this beautiful sister without any one in the village, including the men, pushing back. And she's from Africa, one of the countries in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question, Elder Lawyer, and we're going to talk about this. Right? Have they devalued our sisters to the degree where intentionally so to have access to them in number, well past the number that they would be able to acquire in our women, right? Well past the number if we found value in ourselves and held ourselves to a certain standard. Have they chipped away at our sisters' insecurity to a degree where anything is all right for our sisters? That our sisters have to tolerate anything because anything is better than nothing. And if that's so, how did we get here? How do we fix this?
Right.
The other thing, if you devalue something, then that's what devalued is under what? Constant danger. Because if that person no longer exists, the world will go on without caring. Why? Because they figured that this person isn't contributing any moral value to society. How did we get there? Right? Now, I'm going to say this. Right? In certain circumstances, and in most circumstances, women should not travel alone. And I'm saying that whether or not it's cross country or into another country.
Yeah, cross state.
Yeah. Why do you think our sisters are coming up missing like this? And I want to ask this question. If sisters know that they are vulnerable and have been devalued, shouldn't they take even more precaution instead of operating carelessly in the world alone? Why do they think it's okay to operate outside of a hedge or protection? What makes them believe that someone unaliving them isn't on the table? What are they thinking? And only I can hear that from women. Women have to answer that question. What are you thinking? What do you believe in traveling alone without protection? Right? Now, next. Some people would say, well, okay, let's talk about obedience in order. Okay. What is the man's responsibility in this? That women are vulnerable, that they may be getting harmed doing all these things. Doesn't that show a lack of protection and weakness amongst the men. Some would say yeah, right? Some would say yeah. But here's the twist, elder lawyer. What if the woman don't listen to the man? Right? Suppose a man is warning a woman not to go alone and not to operate without a hedge, and she does it anyway. Can the man be blamed for women who refuse to listen? We can always say at the end of this, well, men, and I can understand so. Okay. There's one thing I can say. I don't know what's going on in Africa, elder lawyer, but I can say if a stranger came on our block when we were coming up and harmed one of the people on one of the sisters on our block, folks, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of things have changed, because even men back then knew that you're not getting off that block. A stranger that no one ever seen before coming in as if you running things are going to hurt one of the sisters we were raised around. No, you're not making it off that block where I came up at. So what's going on in Africa where even a white man can go into a village and harm a sister and know that there's no threat there in the village? And why am I pointing this out, folks? I'm pointing this out because in some of these countries, man, all this white dude have to do is lace a few people off with some dollars. And if he's bringing something of value, they'll protect him over her. It's time to stop looking at this world through rosy colored glasses and deal with the reality of this. Brothers and sisters, you sisters in particular who are thinking about going to Africa, talking about getting some land and doing all this other stuff, don't even understand the lay of the land and putting yourself in danger. And when you're trapped out there now, when no one couldn't tell you anything, now you must use the internet as a conduit to have others come over to sustain you, only for them to suffer in the country without a hedge, without a man who should have led them. So yeah, sisters should be protected at all costs. At all costs, they should be protected, elder lawyer. But then we have to ask a question: right. Can we blame a woman for not listening? Can we blame a woman who won't listen? Somehow, it have to come to a point where some clear, defined boundaries are set. Because now we're at a time, I'm telling you folks, it's something going on in the earth. A humbling is happening in the earth, and I believe it's the Most High. And people that are operating outside of those boundaries, let me tell you, they're doing this at their own peril, especially women. Last week, I didn't want to come another week and talk about something else, because we were talking about how women are low-hanging fruit being targeted and unalived in the United States, organs and all these other things. And still, you have women thinking in their mind, I'm going to travel to Africa, thinking that they're going to marry a man in Africa. I don't even understand that this man has you, and probably have you 9 times out of 10 as a mark. He've already assessed with finessing you online with how much money you've made, how much money you've saved, whether or not you have some retirement or some money that comes in monthly that you can now utilize on the next level in a third world country. He have already accessed your whole profile and have shared that with the people who's going to totally dismantle you. A mark. I've seen instances, Elder Lawyer, and I'm going to tell you this right now. And what they tell you, they're going to agree with everything you say. Folks, they're going to agree with everything you say until you get there. And that's why that sister said the devil came out. Because once you're there, you're totally exposed within an environment that you have no understanding of the lay. The lay of the land isn't, you're totally at the behest of this person. Vulnerable with no protection. And let me tell you, folks, I know a situation when I was overseas, when I was living in the Greek islands, where there was one older woman. She was a white woman. She got finessed by a Nigerian who was conversating with her and all these things concerning marriage and all these other things. Guess what? This guy exhausted all of her funds, all of her bank accounts, all of her retirement. And still at the end of it, she could not stop talking about this guy. My darling, he's a sergeant in the army. He's this, that, and the other. Folks, they've just moved the cons to dip. They just finesse these things, Elder Lawyer, in a different package. The new package now is the Wakanda package that they're selling over from Africa to single black women in the United States.
Right.
That's the new package now. And they're using sisters who've traveled over as the bait. They're using sisters who've traveled over as the bait. And they'll only give you, oh my God, look at these mangoes. Okay, they be talking about mangoes and oh my God, it's the Garden of Eden.
Right.
And you come over there, and no disrespect, people can live how they live, but then you get invited into a shanty town, and this guy had a wire, almost 2 cans together as a telephone. Straight conning you out of a whole country. Because you didn't want to listen. Because you didn't want to listen to a man.
This is where I'm befuddled.
Yeah, let's go.
You will have a situation, and this happens. We see that situation. This would be the same exact question I would ask the sister that just gave her testimony from Africa.
Yeah.
In regards to, you will have a sister here, for example, in the States, that will say that in order for a man to get with her, he has to have everything in order. And you know what? Rightfully so. He should have everything in order. But that same sister will go into another country to find a man who don't have it all in order. And you'll say, sis, you know this dude don't got it all in order. And their response will be, well, I'm willing to work it out with him. And my question is, if that's the case, if you can travel to another country and work it out with somebody who don't have 2 nickels to rub together, why can't you do the same exact thing here in the States with a brother from the States in familiar territory?
Good question. And what would be her answer? Because you know what? You know why they push back? Because they don't want you to get in the way of the fantasy, the idea of what an African man is.
Right.
Not ever being there. Right? It's almost like they convince themselves into this escape. Like there's an escape somewhere that's going to change my whole life when it comes to relationships.
Right.
When no, you may be going into another level of struggle that you thought you would never, that could never exist in your life. I'm gonna tell you. And not taking that precaution, what they're doing is leaving without a hedge. And some people, elder lawyer, would come out and say, well, this is what you do, and how can you trump God, right? They're coming to this thing where God showed me a long time ago that, you know, that my toes would seep in the sands at the Nigerian waters. I've seen this in a dream, right? You know what I mean? My hands going down and the soil coming through my fingers. God want me to go to Africa. So listen.
Right.
I'm a servant. I'm a teacher, right? If God told you something, hey, I can't stop you from doing that. But I believe they ignore when God says, do everything in decency and in order.
Right.
What God would send you into a place with predators to be destroyed without a hedge. What God would do this for a woman or tell you to do this. So when you say, God, what am I to do? All I can say is, listen, all due respect. If you make some moves out there on your own without any protection, if you don't have a man, the Most High put elders in place, teachers in place to guide you. Now, if you don't want to do that, then make sure that you're not used as bait to convince other young women to follow your abstinence, or I would call your straight defiant spirit. Okay? Understand, if you're not going to do it without a man guiding you, don't bring other sisters into it where you're seeking to help destroy them too. There's some sisters out here who respect guidance from men. And that's my take on it, because I know that they have totally reworked the con game. And the new con game is telling sisters to come and get the Wakanda package from Africa. And when you go there, they're going to shake you from your ankles. The abuse thing is out there, and you'll be lucky to escape with your life. And that's the reality. Folks, right. Elder, I'm going to tell you, they got people out there talking about, yeah, you can get some land and all of that. They'll finesse you and have you put your money into some land, and then they're the owners of it now. Oh, we forgot to tell you, there's an African rule here that you must be an African citizen on the deed to actually have property here. But they didn't tell you that when you was getting your money ready to purchase land. Now you got old Rollo from Gambia as part ownership of your house. And he probably have 3-4 other women he ain't tell you about. Listen, baby, don't worry about it. We're about to hit the lottery. I got a woman who's ready to put me on the deed for all this property.
Right.
And guess what? Their women would be down with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a come up. Like, you got a new house for us? Yeah, I had this woman on the hook for at least a month or two now. She got this amount of money, that amount of money. There's no man in sight. She would even talk to her children. And she's coming over here to receive the Wakanda package. And baby, when she comes, we already worked it out. Eventually, she will fade her out of the mix. And now we can have our dream home. I'm going to tell you this right now. And they'll sell sisters. They'll say, listen, oh, yeah, I got many people. Let me tell you, the scams are real. So the question is, can we blame women for not listening? Let's go back to that hedge, and then I'm going to open up the lines. We have an early broadcast tonight. I started at 5 something on purpose. Elder Lawyer, is there anything you'd like to say?
No, sir. Let's go straight to the calls.
Okay, before we go to the calls, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, where it talks about where no hedge is again. Right? And Ecclesiasticus. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you this. There's sisters who have streaming and all that from Africa with husbands. They got husbands over there. And folks, the women who are over in Africa who have husbands are struggling too. And they have husbands. But at least they had sense enough to not go alone. Okay? Let me tell you, folks, there'll be no investigation to figure out what happened to you. There'll be no investigation at all. Let's get it real quick, Elder Lawyer, if you will. And I want some sisters to come in and some brothers to come in. And I want to show this. You have these other nations going into Africa, treating these sisters like just bad in the midst of the village, and none of the men of the village are doing anything. And these are the sisters who were born in the land of Africa, in one of those countries. They come through and treat our sisters like anything over there without consequence. And you think our sisters can go over there and get the protection that even the sisters on the land isn't getting? Right? So I must put this out there because let me tell you, folks, the con is real. They're doing this. They done moved off of that, I'm a barrister and I'm a barrister in Ghana and, just send me $500 so that can unlock the $3 million that I can send you. They done got off of that con game.
Right.
Right? He's sitting there with a pair of sandals on, twirling his toes, talking about he's a barrister. And, hitting in a sweatshop, right? Sitting there eating a sandwich talking about, listen, just send me $1,500 so it can unlock this $3 million that I can send to you. Let me tell you, they have way more sophisticated cons now. Okay? And this black single woman coming to Wakanda is the new con. Chapter and verse, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Sirach 36 and 25.
Yes, let me get it real quick. Let me tell you, Elder Lawyer, hey, I have to admit, all right, they got me too. So I'm not above getting swindled, right? They got me too, Elder Lawyer. I don't know if I told you about this. While I was overseas, we were looking into some French bulldogs, right? Yeah, did I tell you about that one?
No, sir.
I probably was ashamed to tell you about that.
Yeah, I never heard this one.
Man, I'm sitting there looking at the French bulldogs, the little puppies and all this, a whole page. And it was this beautiful girl, French bulldog, with a brown patch, white and all this. So I'm like, man, maybe I can just get me one of these dogs, just something, something to train or whatever. Man, I contact the people. And they had the full page, look professional and all of that. And it was like, well, okay, these dogs are expensive, whatever the case is, interacting with me through email and say, well, listen, you have to Western Union a down payment of $500 to show your solidarity because there's many people looking at this same dog. Guess what I did, Elder Lawyer? I'm ashamed of it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I went and got that Western Union and got that $500 sent, and I'm looking back for a response. Right? I mean, they showed kennels on the website. You know, they showed a white guy playing with the dogs. I mean, they had it from the rooter to the tutor. And I'm like, boy, I'm like, you know what? It's my brothers over there. I'm sure they could use the money. You know, okay, they got me, but never again. Yeah, they got me on that. But hey, and you know, but I'll tell you, sisters have to watch out for the Wakanda package. I mean, they're going to send you, I mean, not only that, they're going to send you a man, right? They're going to send you a man or a picture of a man greased up looking like Morris Chestnut in his prime.
Right.
Right? Now, I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. All right? They're going to have you going. Okay? Straight up. And this guy probably got a belly hitting his microphone and ain't even telling you nothing, but you said, oh my God, what a prince. Chapter and verse, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Sirach 36 and 25. And just on that story you just told, Salakia.
Yeah.
On that story you just told, even overseas, you have to realize, because a lot of people may ask, well, we've been overseas, we've traveled. What was the difference? Every time we've traveled, there's always been like established contacts, established known people with us going into other countries. We've never blindly went anywhere. And for that to happen, even in a situation in which, you know, where that happened, that, you know, it's not like we were in a place in which there was just surrounded by danger, whatever the case may be, but still, even in those scenarios, there's issues. So you can only imagine what could take place in an area in which you have absolutely no connections, no familiarity, no family, no anything. It's just you.
Yeah. And see, we have enough catfish is what it's called. Yeah. It wasn't named for it when we was traveling, but anyway. Outright, we had enough knowledge not to go into a country blind without someone that we could actually trust to protect us from people like we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When we went into different parts of Egypt, there was a man who was there who had a business here in the United States, who had some connection to family, who could actually help us learn the lay of the land. We walked right past the scammers and all these other cats. And not only that, they would point us to the people to stay away from. Like, no, you can't be, these guys, they're bad news. You can't, don't ever walk around there, or don't go around here and ever talk to this guy, because this is what this guy's into. So you must actually have what? A person that you can trust with tenure. And not someone you found online that built a trust long distance.
Right.
Mistake. Right? Let's read it real quick, Elder Lawyer, and then I'll open up the lines. Hold on, let me grab you here 1 second. 1 second, Elder Lawyer. And then we're going to open it up, right? And so we have a distinct rule in this church, Elder Lawyer, and I want to make it clear because people can do what they want to do, right? But we have a distinct rule when it comes to things like this, right? A woman is led by her husband. If it's not your husband, you're led by the leaders that's in position who are men over the church, who are to look out for the young widows and the orphans. That's our position, okay? And we would never direct a woman to go into a strange area to be destroyed. What type of shepherd would do that? So we have a distinct rule. If you don't follow the rules concerning with the men the Most High have set up to protect you, then you're on your own. Because we know how the story ends. But you cannot come back and say, well, hold up. Nah, we told you. Because we're not going to allow you to be the conduit to have other women get destroyed for not listening. So we have a strict rule when it comes to that. Okay? If you link in with a man or something in these other countries, hey, it's all good. I hope he's everything you think he's wrapped up to be because that's your leader. Okay? We have a distinct rule with that. Right?
Right.
Sirach, Wisdom of Solomon. Let's read where no hedge is.
Yes, sir. 36 and 25. Sirach 36 and 25 says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled.
Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. What we're seeing within the world right now, which I believe the Most High is destroying with the humble, he's doing a humbling right now, is a world where people, women in particular, think they can operate without a hedge. But guess what, folks? We cannot change the dynamics of the male-female biology throughout time immemorial. Women throughout history knew that anytime they were operating outside of man, they were taking a chance with their lives. Right? So, listen. I believe this is, Elder Lawyer, this is where the this girl trip thing came out of. Because women, I think inherently in their mind, know that they're taking a chance traveling. But then you have a bunch of women, right? No men, but they still want to travel. So their sense of security is to travel together. Right?
Right.
Their sense of security is to travel together. It extended from, well, it's this guy, he might be a creep, but I need us to double date, or can we go out together so that I'm not alone with this new guy? It have extended from normal dating, bringing girlfriends along, into some international traveling that's now labeled girl trips. And I'm going to tell you, they're not reporting the number of our sisters coming up missing. And it would be irresponsible for us not to talk about this now that we're going into a global market, a global world where now things are global and people are just traveling all over the place. All right. Let's read Sirach 36 and 25. Let's read that.
Sirach 36 and 25. Where no hedge is, the possession is spoiled.
Come on.
And he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning.
And he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning, because it says, where no hedge is, the possession is spoiled. See? When a woman isn't being guided and protected by a man, that woman is turned into something else. Okay? She becomes almost, I'm going to tell you, put it this way, she walked without seeing her shame. And that's why it states here, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, something to be protected. And sometimes you have to protect a woman from herself. Why? You know why? Because women can readily get into relations in comparison to a man. Understand this. Women are hit on, regularly, strictly from the carnal standpoint. So her opportunity to fall into, sin exponentially outnumber the opportunities it would be for a man. See? And this is why it says you must do what? He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, and a help like unto himself, a pillar of rest, and where no hedge is. If you don't have a man directing you in some way, shape, or fashion, women cannot lead or hedge other women. God didn't set it up that way. And that's why we're witnessing this reckoning in the earth. Right? You can't go against how things have always been and think that it's going to come out good on the other side. If there's no hedge, death will happen. People are going to come up missing, especially from women who have been devalued by the system. And if you're devalued, not too many people will investigate your disappearance. And I'm not saying this to put fear in you. It's just the reality that this is a cold, unforgiving world. Okay? And Elder, whatever happened to that conversation we had coming up, the parents had with us? And I don't know if you remember this conversation. They used to have this even on TV. Never talk to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yes, sir.
That was drilled into the children's minds. The danger that comes from strangers. And we're sitting there, women are sitting in their mind looking at that foolishness like Stella Got Her Groove Back, which actually turned into a little ring, a secret ring of having women come over on canoes and all these other things, getting rub downs. Okay? The cat is out the bag. Everyone understand the hidden message behind Stella Got Her Groove Back. Right? Male prostitution. Okay? Everyone understands this. They try to dress it up with a movie, but really it's an underground scenario that everyone knows about when people go to Jamaica and get on the bamboo rafts. So this Wakanda package and all of this is an extension of that. But the difference is, if a white woman come up missing, it becomes a world investigation.
Exactly.
If you come up missing, sisters, you know what? Guess what? It would be a blessing if anyone even mentioned it. A lot of what I'm saying right now, with that woman who ended up dying and saying that a brother, mind you, was stalking her and now she came up dead with no investigation. If that would have been a white woman, that would have been on every report, every news circulation going, and until justice was had. And guess what, sisters? You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, she went without any fanfare. Only for another woman to come up in her place to say, okay, here's a spot where I can con other people into believing Wakanda exists. And here's Dexter St. Jock out here in Africa that no other woman in Africa has access to that will choose little old me coming out of America.
Mm.
Where no hedges, there's the possession is spoiled, and he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning. Right? But so it's talking about what? Men gonna mourn the fact that women who are not hedged with direction, being told what not to do, eventually she'll become spoiled. No good for anyone. Obedience. Is there a solution? The solution is obedience and order. Obedience and order. And those who refuse the obedience and order will refuse the order at their own peril, especially women. I've emphasized over and over again that they have intentionally devalued the image of our people so that no one come looking for you when you're unalived. Right? So, I know some people like to say, well, where's the blame? Let me tell you, the whole thing is there's no blame here. Your body is your temple, and a woman is responsible for protecting her temple. God said you need a man for that. You can't protect your temple alone, by yourself. Okay? With that, 515-605-9327. We'll come right back with the lines. What say you? I want to hear what you have to say about this. What are we going to do to protect our sisters? And again, what if sisters aren't listening? What are we to do? 515-605-9327. Because I'm going to tell you, our sisters can be headstrong. Okay? Right? Hold tight. I'll be right back. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book. And the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. All right, the Hebrew and Bible Academy, you are invited. Of course, we are working on the battle between man and woman, and we're going to have an open panel. If we get the guests in a timely fashion, then we'll make sure we have that particular discussion this Sunday, if not next Sunday. We're also going into the book of Daniel, breaking down Daniel 7 and Daniel 11. And what we're going to be talking about in particular very soon, whether it be this week or next week, depending on whether or not we get the guests for the roundtable discussion in time, we're going to be talking about the desolation that was prophesied, the fall of Jerusalem that would lead to them coming after the children of Israel throughout the four corners of the earth. And I would like to mention, they're rearing up all the armies in the earth. Africa will be the final battleground before our people are in the wilderness. Stay tuned. Get in this academy. It's not like any other Bible experience on earth. We guarantee it. All right. All right. So let me go here and dial in, actually. 1 second. Okay, the queue is lining up. I know y'all chopping at the bit, huh?
Radio.
It's interesting.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
All right, Blog Talk Radio, 515-605-9327. Thank you, Elder Ramar. I'm jumping right in. And yes, in April will be the grand opening of our Oklahoma church. And I know I'm invited April 6th. I'm going to do everything to get there in Oklahoma. We opening up a new body there, and I'm looking to open up one in Tennessee and others. So hold tight, folks. We'll get to you. All right. Mississippi, other areas, we're going to really ramp it up. All right. Zakwawa has a comment. Let me upload it up a little bit. Hold on. There, that's better. All right, I'm going through the switchboard, and the threat, the new package they're selling our sisters in America who's thinking about going to Africa, buyer beware. Zakwawa has a comment. The floor is yours.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. And can I just say, you are a hard elder to get on the phone, because I've been trying to call in for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and I just have not been able to get
There
in.
you go. You made it. You made it. I'm glad you made it. Thank you.
Finally.
All right. What say you?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, when you were talking about this topic came up about the sisters going to Africa, I had been thinking about this book that I read. It was actually about Malcolm X that I read this book about how they were pushing that back in his time, and I was like, what is so alluring about going back to Africa? Now, I know we have that knowledge that that's not our true home, but just from what I've heard and what you all have talked about, the people over there don't even really care for us like that. They want us to stay over here. And when we're talking about the spirituality thing, and sisters who are being in spirituality wanting to get back into that, getting into their roots and all that stuff, I have noticed that more people have been talking about that spirituality, wanting to go back to their homeland and things like that. And it's just been a really weird thing that people have been I'm trying to think, what's the word I'm looking for? It's been a really weird thing that people have been wanting to do. And I was actually just having a conversation about that with somebody yesterday. So I was like, wow, this lesson was right on time.
Well, sister, anything else? Because I got a scripture that's going to put a foot in it based on why our people, sisters in particular, and others have fantasized Africa. What in the spirit is calling them, right? And I believe that their desires to have a place in others is spiritually rooted, but has been misdirected. Mm-hmm. Right? I think the world powers have initially set things in place to have us look at Africa as the new heaven, right? So that we don't direct our sights on where we should be focusing. Let me read this real quick. I'm going to read this for you. Real quick here. It's in the book of Hebrews. Now check this out. This is profound. Behind what you're talking about. In the book of Hebrews 11, right? It talks about the faith of the righteous, right? It starts off in the 8th verse when it says, by faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place where he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went, not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with our forefathers, Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Listen to this. Therefore sprang there even of one of him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky of multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore, innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. So our forefathers understood that we were what? A people without a home, and had hope for a better place. But listen to this. 14. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And our people, the lost sheep, has this same desire, but have been redirected to Africa. and believing that it's satisfied, that thought of actually having a home is satisfied by going there. When the people in Africa are pilgrims without a home. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And listen to this. Here's the cherry on the top. And truly, if they had been mindful of the country from whence they came out, they might have had an opportunity to have returned. But they're not telling us we came from Israel. See, they have intentionally misdirected us into believing the motherland is Africa. And this is why our sisters and all that are fantasizing the motherland, because they don't know that the people in Africa is still desiring the land that was shown to our forefathers. And that's not even home to them. What say you?
Yeah, I think you're right. And just hearing that there's so many people that don't have a home, and that just, you're right, it solidifies that we are lost, and that misdirection that we have has really pushed a lot of people away. And I also
see, but sister, let me tell you this.
Let
me say this. I'm gonna let you say your last piece. But it's in their spirit to actually connect themselves with a home. So they know something is lost there. The only issue is they won't accept the fact that the Bible directs our sights on where home should be. The majority of these people who are Wakanda strucken with Africa renounces the Bible or don't believe in it altogether. And it's the only place that can satisfy what they're trying to get out of Africa. Right? The understanding of, to get this land, we must come back to an order amongst ourselves in the lands we were scattered. What they're looking for, you can't find on earth. It's the satisfaction of understanding how did we get here. According to the prophecies, is the only peace any of us can receive. Me finding out I was Israel, I didn't need to go to Israel to appreciate that. But now that I know I'm Israel, I have a desire to one day see the land that was promised to our fathers upon the coming of our Lord and Savior. Right? Therefore, I don't have to make my own promised land. It's coming, but it comes through order and obedience. Okay? Go ahead, sister. I'm sorry.
Sir.
I'm gonna let you say what you have to say there. Go on.
No, that's all right. I'm like appreciating the notification that you're bringing out. It's amazing. But, that makes me want to ask you a question. What do you think we now, as our people who are awake, should we do to call out to those people who are trapped in this mindset to bring them back to the knowledge of who they are?
Get behind a ministry and let the ministers do what they do. Get behind the ministers.
Yes, sir.
And support the ministers in doing what we do, because we'll be more effective. And as the
Yes,
word, and what happens is, as the people grow in the word, there's an administration where we began to lay hands and send more people out, and the word become multiplied. But just support what's in front of you. That's how you do it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, bless
I'm
you.
rocking a long way.
All right, thank you. Hey.
Thank you.
We rocking with Christ. Shalom. All right, I'm gonna put you on hold.
Shalom.
Put you on hold. All right, Danita has a comment. Yes, Danita.
Hey, Shalom, Elder. I just wanted to answer your questions that you put out there about women. Should they travel without a hedge? And that's a definite no. We see and then you spoke on it's using the scriptures that a woman that without a hedge, she is spoiled. So that's the same thing as saying damaged goods.
Yeah.
She's no good for anybody. So at the end of the day,
unfortunately,
unfortunately, you know, a sister should always travel with somebody that has the strength and the wisdom of that area that they're traveling to, and always go somewhere with some knowledge and understanding, and even have somebody that's in that country that knows what, you know, what's what. Like y'all had that privilege of being blessed with when you were in the different countries pivoting at that time to, you know, to do the Most High's will. And secondly, I wanted to say that because we mentioned catfish, but that these people that are these con artists, and we look at it as con artists, but to them it's a job. It's an everyday 9 to 5, 24/7 job, and they don't get attached to us as women or men or whoever they're conning because it's a job. It's for them to succeed and for you to lose in any means necessary. So at the end of the day, we have to be very careful and how we move and moving off our emotions and what we see and what we're going through. Like, oh, I can go home. You don't know that place.
Yeah.
You don't know those people, and they see you coming with gold, with silver, with whatever you got. They see you coming, and I just yield with that.
Well, sister, I'm glad you're bringing this out. Here's the reality. We have to get out of this fantasy view of Africa in particular, right? That's number one. And I'm putting it out there. Is because we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Here's the reality of the matter. The Bible says in Ezekiel 33:15, if the wicked restore the pledge and give again that he had robbed and walk in the statutes of life, he shall live. So we can't ignore, even though, let me tell you, I have love for my brothers and sisters. We have churches in Africa, but I'm not going to ignore the governments of Africa who compromised their morality, knowing who we were, and sold us for dead. And how these African countries have become corrupt to a degree where they'll keep their countries in certain low statuses just so that they can live high off the hog as government officials. So I'm not going to ignore that element that's amongst our people, that destructive element that God himself will destroy. And I can love our people, but still understand that the people in position that have aligned themselves with the European governments have become a greater enemy than the European structure we're talking about. And I'm going to tell you this, that's the piece that our people ignore. We look, and you know, it's good to hope, but not to a degree where it becomes damning and threatening to our lives. I can appreciate going into Africa and its value and the history that comes from it, but understand that the threat that exists also. So I'm not going to listen. If I was going to talk about repairing things, I would have to also talk about the governments who left us for dead. Right? Yep. So here it is. I'm not going to blame them for none of that because I know it's part of the curses for disobedience. But to believe that same evil operation that led to them selling us as cattle no longer exists would be me denying the inevitable. The stench of the leaders that have sold out our people is still there, and it's inherent, and it still exists to the degree where they won't even allow their own governments, countries to advance due to their own selfish greed. So let's talk about this. And that's what I'm talking about. And that sisters know that, listen, what you're going into isn't an organized scenario that's set up to protect women. It ain't set up for that. America is set up for that. And the only reason America did that is so that they can, by proxy, dismantle society by leveraging women against men. That's the only reason America gives affords women, our sisters in particular, so much protection if they can use that protection to leverage against men. But Africa knows such laws. Okay? And sisters have to be mindful of that. And that's all I'm doing. And saying, well, listen, people should explore, travel the world, become more cultured, be able to go into these different areas, but understand that there's a threat to your life operating alone, especially as a woman. Thank you, sister. All right.
All
right. Thank you, sister. Great comment, Danita. Great analysis. Andre, my brother from the same mother. How are you?
Yes, sir. Big Elder. Shalom, sir. How you doing?
I'm blessed by the best. Yourself? And his name is Ahaya?
Yes, sir. Blessed by the same. Yes, sir. I want to tell you, Elder, it's beyond profound that you went into this lesson today, because I was just having this conversation yesterday with family about how what our people don't realize is when we leave America, we are seen as nothing but Americans. Just because we know we're Israel, and also just because others have our skin color, it doesn't mean they see us as kinfolk. But I think what's so profound about what you and Elder Lawyer went into, even breaking down the scriptures, is Proverbs 1:7 says that it's the fear of the Most High that's the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I think about the level of rebellion that you kind of went into, that somebody has to be in, just completely rebel and go chase a fantasy. But I think what's so interesting, Elder, is when you look in the Strong's Concordance, that word fear is H3374. Elder Lawyer brought out the scripture in Genesis where Abraham talked about he feared for his life, and he had his wife be his sister. That same fear is used in Genesis, that's used in Proverbs. So I think about when you look at the definition of that, the Strong's defines that as fearing of the Most High, respect and reverence. So I think about when you go into these areas without you having the fear of the Most High, and then you go into these areas that themselves lack the fear of the Most High, you don't have that protection and you don't have that wisdom and that instruction. And it's just interesting to me that Elder Lawyer brought that out and you and him brought that full circle the way you did. That was beautiful. But I even think about the reality of how you yourself, even in an area that doesn't have the fear of the Most High, if you have the fear of the Most High, you still can be protected, because that's what happened to Abraham. He went into an area that didn't fear God, but he did, so he was protected. But if you lack both, it's a bad formula. It's a formula for trouble. If you lack the fear and you find yourself in a country that doesn't have that fear, and like you eloquently put, Elder, I think the only thing that's saving America right now is we have our people here and we have some sort of infrastructure here that still fears the Most High God.
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, it's that fear is waning big time with each day, but it's still some. I mean, he still have us around, so all praises. But yeah. And there's one thing in particular that I wanted to say. The Most High never sent women out alone. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Nowhere in scriptures could you find this, because he loved our sisters. And he says, where no hedge is, the woman is spoiled. And she's easy prey. She's low-hanging fruit. And I need you to think about this. And I need sisters to think about this in particular. Especially how the internet, along with the phones, have made the world just seriously small now. And with your records in the database under the Obamacare, where now your medical records and all that is in a database. So people can understand your blood type, they can understand where you go, they know where you like to eat. Well, if a predator get access to this information and your blood type fits an organ that some rich guy needs, let me tell you, the trip you're planning can be into the bosom of Abraham. Okay, you'll see that light. You think you're taking a trip to the United Emirates or to Dubai, but no, you're taking a trip into the other side. Because if someone, I'm gonna tell you right now, with the internet and all that, someone can see your blood type and say, listen, I'll be gone in 4 days and I'm going to need her organ. She's a perfect blood type. Set this up. How much am I willing, how much that rich evil person is willing to pay to sustain his life another 10 years. And he only got 4 days to live, and you got the exact match. These are things sisters and brothers don't think about while traveling. They have made the world small where anyone can have access to your whole biology to understand whether or not you're worth more dead than alive. That's the reality of the world we're living in. So here it is, you're traveling thinking you're going somewhere and you come up missing, and guess what? No one is going to look for you. We're living in a world where they just turn the page and it's not even an honorable mention. And your family have been so disconnected where they're used to you flying off all these places. It'll be too late to investigate by the time they realize that realize that you're missing. So I'm just putting this out there. This is the reality of the world we're living in now. These people, man, let me tell you, they're playing for keeps. And guess what? You hear them talking privately concerning our sisters' biology and how they got a monopoly on how our women bodies are and how their blood is and all this. All right. They are preying on our sisters who are now being exposed to certain dangers. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right.
Yes. Yes, sir. And
what say you? You good, Andre?
Yes, sir. The very last thing I was going to say, Elder, I think is amazing what you just said, and we need to hear this because I think the perspective that the elders of this church, the leadership of this church, the perspective that we bring is we love our women, and we were designed to protect our women, and our women were designed to be our helpmates.
Yes.
And I don't hear anybody else teaching that message. I hear a lot of the people in the red pill community, the woke community, talking about how our women are rebellious. But what they're not saying is, listen, we love our women. Come back, submit yourselves. We desire to protect you. And I appreciate this church and all it has done. And I appreciate the work of the Most High first and foremost. But I appreciate him utilizing the leadership of this church to say, listen, we love our sisters. Come back before it's too late.
Yeah.
We are here to protect you with the wisdom of the Most High. So I yield, Elder, but double honors to you all for what you do.
Yeah, and thank you, brother. There's room for forgiveness for all of us. And, right now, it so happens that our sisters, I'm going to tell you, what's going on is the system has intentionally devalued our sisters in comparison to other women, which makes our sisters more expendable. And make it where no one will look for them once they're missing. So it first start with sister understanding the threat they're under and doing everything they can to get under some level of protection. Thank you. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
All right.
Bless you, son.
Okay, I see sunshine in there. I'll grab you in a second, sister. We have Sister Cora.
Shalom, Elder. I just wanted to make a remark about the people that are looking to move to Africa. I said, just before I got on your broadcast, I got on late because I was watching another video that I've subscribed to. It's called The Black Acres of the Gambia. And it's about this one couple who have bought some land and they're they're raising crops. They have a nice piece of land and everything. And they had just we're just doing a video about, if you preparing to move, if you wanted to move to Africa. And the main things they pointed out was that, first of all, it's easier if you come as a couple than a single person. And number two said, don't buy or send anybody any money or any property before you come. Come and look at the land first. And the other thing they had mentioned was to deal with the owner, buy directly from the owner. Do not go through anyone. So there was just a couple of things they pointed out. And they said they will do consultations, and they will pay for consultations. If they want to do it over the phone, they would charge for that. But if you come there personally, they will give you advice in person for free. That was in the Black Acres of the Gambia.
Okay.
That's when we're
all right. Okay. So now let me break this down to you. All right. And, you know, I'm not going to knock their hustle, but I'm going to give you a perspective you probably never even looked at. Right?
Okay.
We live in a time where refuge, right? Where refuge will become a necessity. Right? Why would someone publicly online put out their private land for public consumption if security is what they were really driven to do? Why would they do that? Why would they market their refuge? Does that sound wise to you?
I don't think they are like putting their land out there. I mean, they welcome visitors.
No, I'm going to ask you again. When it comes to their locations and how they're operating on their land, they're putting out their private land that belongs to them for public marketing to actually sell a package to people. Do you think in the time we're living in, that's smart?
Well, I don't see it as, I mean, they're living on the land, but they're willing to.
You don't get it.
Give advice.
No, you don't get it. The reason, sister, I'm trying to let you know why they giving advice. I'm telling you why they giving advice, and all due respect to their hustle. When you go into another country, you cannot readily, sister, survive without some level of income coming in within that particular. Sister, why when you get on the phone, there's all these background things going on when I'm talking? I didn't hear none of that when you were talking.
The little dog coming in. Come in here, Kendra. Yeah. And so they
Okay, I was still talking though. I need the same quiet in the background you have when you're talking. Is that possible?
Okay, let me go somewhere else where I can get away from the dog. And well.
Okay, I was talking. Are you listening?
Okay,
I'm not here for you to sell me their Wakanda package. I'm giving you some insight to how what they're doing could be dangerous. Okay? The whole deal is this. No one in a time of refuge is going to put out their property on public, let everybody know what they're doing, that have any good sense. The only reason they're doing this, sister, is because it's a financial package through consultation that they can pay to be able to make money without any high maintenance by talking to people, getting American dollars to sustain them in Africa. And that's okay. That's their hustle. But that's but that's not going to help the sisters who may go over there and not have the same opportunity they might have. See, they're doing it because they have to do it to sustain because they need American dollars. You can't go into these countries and actually build a business because what? There's other people on the land who seeking to build businesses and do all that, and they prefer their people first. So the only way our people can survive if they have something that can actually be enticing to American dollars. So that's what that is.
Okay.
You understand? They're doing that as a way of surviving, getting American dollars infused into a country that they can live better in because the currency's better. It has nothing to do about giving you a Wakanda package so that you can have what they have. Okay? So I'm trying to let you know the part that you don't understand. Okay? And guess what? I respect what they're doing because they found a niche for themselves. But by doing this, they've exposed themselves in the future. Okay? But that's what you have to do to survive. Okay? They're not going to tell you about a guy that's going to follow you off of the plane and you might not make it to see Wakanda. Okay? That's why you and other women shouldn't be listening to them. You should be listening to a man who can direct you and protect you. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Lord have mercy. I hope I don't got to do another video and have a sister talking about a farm that she was walking on at first, and then it all turned sour. Woo! Lord, in the morning time, Lord, please help our people. Help them. Brandon has a comment and a question.
Hey, I appreciate you. I'm a solid musician, right? I told you about I helped Mr. Stockton move his studio, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's like a while back. But I went to Monaco and the French Riviera. Okay. And when I got off the train, they were like, "Who are you? What do you do?" And "Who are you? What do you do?" is like, "Bro, you have some money, and we're gonna press you." I've been to Mykonos as well.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know what it is, but a lot of cats don't understand what that is. You're well traveled. I am well traveled. I was like, "I want to speak to your manager. I'm flying into Finland," and they were like, "No." I was like, "That's crazy," because it's like there's like the rules that happen in America aren't the rules that happen overseas, and exactly. That's what you're trying to over-communicate to the people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to say. Because what they're doing is they're trying to resolve what something will be according to their own experiences. And what I'm telling you, there's nothing that you have actually experienced in America that can prepare you for this place. There's no experiences that's right. in America that can prepare you.
And I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm trying to let the sister know.
I didn't have any.
No.
I didn't have anything after no.
No.
I was like,
I've
never experienced.
Let me tell you, Americans. Let me tell you, living in America, you've been spoiled. There's no Amazon Prime dropping off something within 24 hours in Gambia. You would be lucky to be able to get something that was sent to you from another country or another place through customs. Okay? And then you'll be overcharged hands over fist more than what the package costs to actually get it because someone's hustling American dollars from you. Listen,
that's right.
I'm trying to
in Monaco, they were like, "Yo, you look like a ball player to me. So like, let's break bread." And I'm like, I don't have that bread. I don't have it.
Yeah.
But it's like, but they don't care anything about that. But until you don't know until you go.
Man, listen. Listen. Our people don't believe beef meat is greasy. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm trying to let them know. Like, listen. I know you want an idea. You think of this fanciful idea of what Africa is. And there's a reason why they would tear off your arm to get your passport to switch places with you in most circumstances.
I saw that because I was on tour, right, in London, and they disrespected this Nigerian man in front of his wife to the umpteenth level. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's my brother. I'm like, no, you're just trying to hustle us. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. And
I wanted to defend him, but it's like they're not interested in that.
Listen.
They're not interested in that. They're like, yo, you're just a scammer. And I've even had one of my own personal family members who have been scammed for that. And my mom sent her like 5 racks. My aunt sent her 5 racks. Like, so they sent her about $30,000.
Oh, what came with that? What came with that 30K?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Nothing.
They were marks. And
Nothing.
You know what? Hey, listen, brother, I try my best to warn these sisters, but they don't want to hear it. They listen to somebody on the farm, and they thinking, these people ain't going to let you on their farm. Okay?
No, they're not. But they think that it's like, oh, no, like he's a prince.
Listen, hey, check out this hustle. Hey, listen, I'm going to give you a consultation of what to look forward to if you get your farm. Okay? Here it is. Send me $200, and I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the corn I grew last week. I mean, are you kidding me? Is that all it takes?
You're not wrong, but you owned it. You owned it, and my whole deal is like, do you remember when the Susu was at its prime, the height of it? You spoke to it, but you didn't address it in this manner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you were like, yo, just like, this is foolishness.
Let me tell you,
You know what
brother,
I'm
the Back to Africa con is the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know how many times they've reworked that con. The Back to Africa Wakanda, Wakanda
I'm
package.
not going to talk about it on this live because I don't want it to be demonetized.
You know what I mean?
I'm not going to talk about it on this live, but if you want to know, just call me.
I'm going to call, brother. I'm going to call you up, and I'm going to tell you right now. Hey, elder lawyer, elder lawyer.
I just don't want it to be. I don't want to give away my location or who I know about why that is. But I know a lot about it.
Hey, it reminds me of the Umar Johnson boy. This guy, boy, he done flipped that Wakanda. He done flipped that Wakanda package upside down and sideways. He put on that kente cloth with the Congo stick.
They all bought in on it.
Hey man, listen, here it is. He ain't no flies nowhere. He even got the little brush trying to get flies off him. Let me tell you, that African thing be rolling. It must be a spirit into how they can con people. Let me tell you what I can do.
There is a spirit in that, elder.
Yeah.
But you've already brought that out. But it's like, it's like, if I could talk about Zeppo.
Yeah.
And I only know about Zeppo because of you, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm like, and when I bring that out to the cool kids out here in Los Angeles,
yeah,
you can hear a mouse fart on a cotton ball.
When you bring it out to who? What kids? What are you talking about?
The preachers out here, like they're ever hearing and never perceiving.
Oh man, you're speaking Charlie Brown language when the adults are talking.
I'm sorry, bro. Like I'm saying, like the preachers that I'm a musician, bro. So it's like I'm around them all the time. Do you understand? And I'm trying not to give their location away and who they are.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, brother, you already bring some good points. I'm going to be calling you up soon because we're going to make some music together, brother. I'm going to see how this goes. All right.
Yeah. You already know.
All right, my brother.
Man. Peace and love. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Shalom.
Shalom. Oh yeah, if y'all want to, y'all can jump into my garden package, right? Have a 30-minute consultation for $150 so I can show you how to trim hedges, all right, in Africa. Okay? Let's get it done. Yakara has a question.
Hello, Elder. Can you hear me?
How you doing, Yakara? How are you?
I'm pretty good. I was on this is not pertaining to the lesson, but when the Bible say, that two women be in a house, a woman be taken of the left, when would that happen before the wilderness?
Well, when it says there'll be two and one be taken, it's not speaking of a one-time event. What this is talking about is what's happening right now. You got two people. Okay. You got two people living in the same house. One believe and the other is still operating in sin. When the evil comes, it's going to take and destroy the person who didn't listen. So that taken isn't speaking of like a rapture. The taken happens to those who were against God, who defied the law. So it's happening as people are getting snatched as we speak. When many people didn't follow what God said and took the serum the world was pushing, they were taken. They were taken by the evil. So it's happening as we speak. All right?
Right, because I know there's not going to be a rapture anyway. I already know that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dwight, for that explanation, Elder.
Yeah, it's not a one-time event like they're teaching with the Left Behind video.
Okay.
It's happening It's happening all the way up into the time of Christ is coming, where many that are evil are being taken and those that are in Christ are remaining. They're being navigated through this. Okay, you got that?
I got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great question, sister. Thank you.
You the water.
All right.
I'll praise this.
Okay, great question. Latreia has a comment.
Hi, Elder. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. How are you, Latreia?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Have you heard about these Wakanda packages they selling our sisters? And now our sisters are coming up missing?
Yes, I have heard about them. I think you asked the question. You said, how can like our men protect our sisters? And I think one thing that's really big is leadership. And so I feel like for me, I'm married and my husband, he's amazing. And I do my best to try to listen to him and be obedient. But like, we're without a church right now. So we used to have a Bible study group that we were a part of, but it was brought to our attention that we can't follow two churches since we follow GOCC online.
Where are you?
Without a body right now.
Where are you?
And I live in Washington.
Okay, so I think I spoke with you before, right, Latreia? And I said I'm going to connect you with Elder Yara.
Yes. So we're waiting on a phone call. We're patiently waiting. We're really excited to get into a body, but I think leadership is like a really big thing because I know the scriptures say that not all men are called on to teach, but you are supposed to obey your husband, which I do. But I think at our old church they kind of used to teach that titles aren't important because titles can bring upon pride. So there were like even men in our church that were deceived by different like women in Africa. So
what you mean titles aren't important? What were they talking about? What are you talking about? What were they saying?
Well, I don't believe that, but at our Bible study group,
give me the understanding of how a Bible study group that says that titles aren't important, but in the same Bible it gives you titles for the positions of leaders in the church.
Agreed. Yeah, so that's another reason why we parted was because what we believe, like following GOCC, is becoming different. Because the leader of the church, he doesn't call himself a leader. He considers himself another brother, like everybody else.
He's our AI's mind. Let's get this real quick. Let me show you something. Okay. So I guess what y'all do, sit around in a circle talking to each other?
Yeah. It's like a Bible study, so everybody comes and like sits in a chair, and he sits at the front, but he says he's a brother, not a leader. So then we visited a GOCC in Houston, and we noticed that you guys pray to the east, which we really loved. And so we tried to implement that, like come back and do that. And so he like told everybody that we had a spirit and that he doesn't believe that GOCC does that because that's pagan. Instead, he wants to pray in like a circle, kind of like, it's not a witch.
No. He I'm gonna tell you what you've been dealing with. You were dealing with someone who's hosting a demon. Okay, let's start there, right? And I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me show you what you're talking about here. Right, I'm gonna type this up for you. What it's talking about, right? Let me get it here. 1 second. I showed this in a lesson not too long ago, right? What we're dealing with here, right? All right, let me show you right here. You were dealing with a satanic warlock from the pits of hell with a demon in him, sitting here talking about titles aren't important. And let's sit around in a circle and let's talk about something. What is your title? See, and this is what the Bible speaks of when it warns us of those who despise dominion. Someone who don't like titles don't like order. Okay, this is how Satan felt when his behind was kicked out of the heavens. Okay, oh no, we don't need that stuff like order and titles. Right, matter of fact, sit around my circle. Okay, what is your title? Okay, the devil, that's what it is. Let me read this real quick so you can understand that the Most High had you escape the depths of hell, okay? Let's do this real quick.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna just jump right here, and I'm gonna show you how much the Most High love you. Okay? You was hanging out with Harry Potter, okay? let's talk about what's going on here. Let me show you what you were dealing with, okay? Harry Potter talking about, yeah, oh, you don't have to listen to GOCC. Sit around my circle, right? So that I can, so that we can so we can conjure up Beelzebub from the seventh part of hell, okay? You ain't no GOCC. I'm gonna show you where it's at, all right? Now let me show you something. Let me tell you, that church was a church of hell, okay? Let me show you what a magic circle is, right? This is what you was dealing with, all right? Magic circle. A magic circle is a circle of space marked out by practitioners of some branches of ritual magic, which they generally believe will contain energy and form a sacred space, or will provide them a form of magical protection, or both. Okay? And that's what's happening at the Vatican, in the middle of that, and the Kaaba. You sit around the circle, and because the Most High has His spirit in you, there's power in every individual. So if y'all can unite that power together under one spirit, one thought, one prayer, you open up a vortex or a gate from hell. And and this is how little friends come in and follow you home, okay? That's what's happening here, okay? And then stuff start breaking in your house. I'm like, what's going on? People start arguing and going back and forth. Yeah, you just open up the gates of hell, all right? So when a person sit and tell you, let's sit around a circle and let's share energy, okay? Let him, guess what? There will be an empty link to this circle, and that's me.
Yeah.
I'm the Hades out of here, okay? So, sister, you were sitting with the devil, but go on. What say you?
I think what really resonated in this lesson with me was because the question that you asked, because I know there's one of the men at the Bible study group we do, he lost his paycheck to somebody, like, you know, like the scammers and stuff, like it was like through, I think it was somewhere in the Middle East. They scammed him out of his paycheck for like $2,000. And he would say stuff like, he was like, oh, well, I just think the Most High didn't want me to have it, like his paycheck, when he got a wife and a family. And I just thought, I was like,
my question is, sister, let's relax for a second. Let's relax. I'm glad you got a husband, somebody to guide you here, because who's luring you into these circles? How did this guy find you?
Oh, so he's from, originally he's from New Jersey, and he began dating my sister 10 years ago. And so he started a Bible. At first he just said it was a Bible study group. And then eventually he came up with a name for it. No, and then,
sister, listen, I don't even want to listen. This guy is, listen, don't even mention this guy ever again. He's non-existent, okay? These are the guys who sit around. There's no doctrine, no understanding. He have delusions of grandeur concerning himself, and say, listen, let me get a study to spread my nonsense, my craft. He got a demon in it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad you have a husband, right? And just for a little closure here, let me ask you. I don't even want to ask you what were the context of some of these lessons. Nonsense. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So, sister, I'm gonna have Elder Yarack call you. Okay.
Okay, we're patiently waiting.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Elder.
All right. Thank you. Where's the scripture where people are sitting around in circles looking at each other at a Bible study? Where do you see Christ, whom they call, incorrectly called Jesus? His name is Yeshua. All right. Where is him and the disciples sitting around in a circle of power? These are pagan rituals opening up gates. And you wonder why our communities are so destroyed and war-torn by demons. Talking about, yeah, we don't need no titles around here. Everybody can be their own title. It sounds like the devil to me. No order. Shanice has a comment.
Shalom.
Shalom. And then we wanted to understand real quick out there, as we're getting back on course, can we blame women for not listening? And no one answered that question. They don't listen. Should they be called out for not listening? And if they suffer the consequences, listen, if they suffer the consequences for not listening, can they then begin to blame men for not protecting them? See where we're going at here? Because it always comes down to men. We're out here because men aren't protecting us. When I'm hearing about women traveling alone against advice into Africa, getting unalived. Go ahead. What say you, sister?
Yes. So what I want to say on that, Elder, you're absolutely right. Because at one point I was thinking about that. I said, well, we're migrating over to Africa. And they were selling us this story from Umar, from citizenship in Ghana. But for some reason, I woke up, I had a dream one time, Elder.
Right.
And this is a dream. I don't tell everybody this dream, but I had a dream that they rounded as many of us from the United States into Africa. And then once they got enough of us over there, they rounded us up and put us in the shed and started killing us. So after that dream, I began to study Africa more. And it's so much information out here that we have to sort through it. We as sisters have to sort through it. We should not travel alone. We should not go to other countries not knowing what's going on in other countries. Through my research, I found out that in Ghana, there is still slavery right down the street for women. In Nigeria, they're cutting off women's heads for rituals. And they were, I remember in 2008, a brother had told me one time his wife had left him for a man in Nigeria. And he said that the sister didn't know that in Nigeria, they would throw acid on women's faces. And this was years ago, a brother told me that, and I took heed to what he was saying. But I began to start following channels that tell the real Africa and show you the things that the women are dealing with.
Well, sister, let me be a little balanced here, because I would like to say there is a lot of good things in certain countries within Africa, like Zimbabwe and different areas, who have resisted the colonialism and all that others. But, you're talking about many countries in Africa, and that's what brothers and sisters don't understand. Like Gambia, there's a lot going on there. There's a circumstances where you can find yourself in the wrong circles, and you have some crazy looking witch doctor looking to circumcise you, right? A woman, not a man, a woman. They'll try to, you wake up, you're not going to need these parts. And like, you don't know this stuff exists. So what we're trying to do is say, well, listen, walk with caution, because the only example we have to be able to measure any country by is our existence in America. And that's why you have to be cautious when people are selling you all this stuff. Oh, I came here from Texas. I've been living here for 5 years and I got a garden. And no, so why ain't you gardening? Why are you online talking about Wakanda? Because you need this money to sustain yourself from the Americas, because the money isn't there. That's number one.
That's right.
That's the key thing.
That's right.
And they're not telling sisters that. They try to make it say, no, we just did this because we thought we would just try to give y'all some insight just in case you may want to travel and do what we're doing. But guess what? You don't have to go to Africa to have a garden. If you're going to practice what you preach to have experience, if you one day in living in another country, then why don't you set up a garden in your area and produce some organic food where our people are being poisoned? So you don't got to go to Wakanda for that. If that's your real mission, to grow some food, then what's stopping you? There's dirt everywhere.
That's right.
But go on.
That's right, Elder. I totally agree. That's what made me wake up too. I said, we're so busy running somewhere else. There are issues at hand right in front of us. And America is become like a cesspool its own self as being Babylon. And they know that we have the dollars over here, so we're preyed upon. And who else to prey upon is the women.
Exactly.
The women. It's easy to prey on the women.
Exactly.
And that's how many of our brothers and sisters have sold us this idea back to Africa. Well, we're here in America, and we need to get back to what we believe in America.
Well, sister,
that's what I believe.
Well, sister, I'm with you, right? But one day, as we're pilgrims, one day we will leave. But the whole deal but the whole deal is, let's gain the experiences that transfer someplace else now. We don't gotta wait to Africa to grow some food.
That's right.
Right? So let's put these things into action now, so that when the opportunity affords itself, we already have the experience. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because if you go into a country, you just can't take a shovel and start throwing seeds down there. There's bureaucracy. There's red tape. There's other people trying to take what you have. It's a lot that can happen before you're actually cutting some cucumbers you grew. So the whole deal is, okay, let's get off of the fantasy trip that they're selling to keep themselves afloat. Like I said, I don't want to knock their hustle over there, but you got to understand when a hustle is a hustle and someone is luring you into something that could be dangerous for yourself. That's my point. Yeah. But go on. You have the last word before I get to the next call.
In Africa too, there are other countries that are in conflict with one another too. They don't want certain people from other countries in their country. They prefer them to go back to their country.
Sister, listen.
Because that is their.
I don't mean to. Let me get into that, because it's not just they may have vitriol against another adjoining country or another country. There's tribal wars and tribal infighting amongst themselves in a lot of these areas, where they can't even get along in Africa on some tribal kick. Now, and then all of them can agree that Americans, especially Black Americans, Judites, they don't know we're Judah, but they see us as entitled and as something different, as a different tribe. And therefore it gives these same people the what? The moral high ground to absolve themselves when they exploit us. They can now have a built-in excuse to say, well, listen, you're those privileged Americans who destroyed our economy anyway, so me taking a few bucks from you is just breaking even. And that's a perspective that's through and guess what? There's a lot of great people who don't think this way in these countries. But these aren't the people you're going to run into. You're going to run into the people who are seeking you out from the airport. And that's my point. That's my point. All right?
Or on Facebook, yes, or on Facebook. Because in Gambia, the Chinese have taken over the fishing industry, so there's poverty over there. And they are big on scamming and, coming for people through Facebook for resources.
Let me tell you, listen, sister, I have countless stories of sisters not listening to me, trying to convince them, hey, it's not what you think it is. Only to go over there with a bunch of money and go someplace, listening to these people lure them out, only to come back to America, right, with rabbit ears, which means the pockets were turned inside out with holes in it. And then they try to look, well, elder, I'm like, nah. See, this is what happens when you don't listen. Okay, you think these people, these strangers you're talking to care more about your well-being than we do? You don't know these people on the other side who are seeking to survive off of you because they're there without any out. They don't know how to get out of their condition financially. And conveniently you come and say, yes, I'll take the number 3 Wakanda package. Okay? That comes with land. Yeah. Well, thank you, sister. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And thank you. I appreciate you too.
Okay.
Keep up the great
thank
work.
You. You're welcome.
Shalom.
Oh, I'll take the number 4 package. That comes with a consultation to show you how to grow squash. Okay. 412 area code. Now I'm being a little facetious here, a little humor, but I think y'all get the gist, right? Mijama.
Shalom.
Mijama. Ma'ama.
Miyama.
Mijama.
Miyama.
That sounds like a song. I want a jama with you. Mijama.
Miyama.
How you doing, sister?
That's crazy. I'm doing good. How are you?
That sounds like an African name.
Mm-mm.
Okay. What say you, Majama?
I mean, you said what?
The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to answer your question, but before I answer your question, I wanted to get into a Bible verse, if that's okay.
Someone said, so I'm sorry. High Main says the number 5 package that comes with a side of shea butter. Boy, I think I opened up a can of worms with this one. Hey, you can get the Wakanda package number 5 with a side of shea butter. I get, boy, I'm sure they're going to get loose in the comments with their own packages, but I digress. Okay, you got the number 7 package on the Sabbath, right? This come with a pillow to rest, right? Oh my goodness. What say you? Go ahead, sister. Majama?
Okay.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to go into Genesis chapter 3, verse 4 through 6.
Okay. And why are you going here?
I wanted to go here because it seems like a lot of our sisters is kind of following this pattern in ways.
Okay.
Because like they're looking at Africa like the outside of it instead of like what people are warning them. So it seems like instead of them receiving what people are warning them about, it seems like some of our women are just ignoring that fact. At least the one that warning is ignoring that fact and just going based off of the outwards or thinking that, well, maybe it won't be the same for me, you know? Instead of just listening.
That's what it is. Because I believe that sisters, you know, I mean, of course, when you're looking at, you know, the negatives that have happened here, right? And some women, some of our sisters are looking to Africa as a fresh start, right? So they have an honest reason for wanting to go there, not realizing the danger. And that's the problem. You have other people who are seeking to exploit how many of our sisters are saying they need a fresh start. And it have turned into a hustle. As what? As the single scenario have increased in the United States, it have led to more opportunity for the scammers to prey on these single women. Why not just fix the problem to not be single? See? To humble ourselves. But we would rather think that there's an escape somewhere that doesn't exist. Right? And we're going to be talking about that in the roundtable discussion. But I see where you're going with Genesis 3, and that's a good one. And the serpent said 3 and 4 to the woman, ye shall not surely die. See? Always convincing the woman that their actions will not have grave consequence. For God do know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open and you shall be of gods, knowing good and evil. That's right. He don't want you to actually enjoy life. He's trying to keep something from you. And this curiosity is what destroys our sisters. It's the same game. The Wakanda package and selling Africa somewhere else is no different than when the serpent came to Eve and said, well, listen, just eat this and everything will turn out fine without your man. Right? And once you get it, once you take it, you can convince to take him down. Perfect analogy, sister. Perfect point.
Yes, and I also wanted to go into one of your questions.
Yeah.
You said, can we blame the women for not listening?
Can we blame, can we blame women for not listening? And I'm talking about this in particular. Have there ever been a scenario in which, you know, within society where there have been wholesale, altogether blame on women for not listening?
So yes, that is a great question. So I think that women, it needs to be a lot of like accountability. You need to, like, I feel like, you know, yes, women should be, you know, blamed for this. And now it's like our women are not being blamed for this. Like,
Hold up, sister. Let me answer this, because Florida native has a good point. We can't blame women, bro. Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. The question, maybe he just popped in. Can we blame women for not listening to men? If a man is seeking to direct a woman and he's going against his wishes, can we blame the woman then? That's a better question. If she's been directed by a man on what to do and she decides to do contrary, is that the man's fault? Can we still blame the man for that? And maybe the person popped in and didn't understand, you know, didn't come in during the, as I did the monologue initially. It's not just blaming the woman to blame her. If she's been warned and still do what she want to do, can we then blame the woman? And what does that look like? Blaming the woman to a degree that she'll admit her fault and come under some level of protection. And I'm leaving that out there. What say you, sister? Go on. I'm not going to interrupt you no more. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. Yes, women are to be to blame if you have, you know, a man that is telling you don't do this, don't do that, because there's a lot of, you know, relationships where the women want to control. And that's the downfall. When women feel like they need to control, they set themselves up for failure because they don't listen to their men. But then when they don't listen to their men, then it's like, oh, well, we're going to blame the man because he didn't protect me. But he just warned you, you know? So it's like, you can't, you know, at the end of the day, we all have a choice. Like, everyone has a choice of what if they want to listen or not. So yes, we can blame the woman, because at the end of the day, she chose to disagree, or she chose, I don't want to say it like that, but she chose to not listen. You know, so it's like you can't make somebody listen. I mean,
okay. I want to read this because someone says we can't blame Eve, right?
Okay.
Let's see if there was blame when she didn't listen. Right? Let's go straight to it. Right? Genesis 3:16. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow in thy conception. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. So this is what? A consequence for her actions. That now women go through great pain just to bring forth life. And thy desire shall be unto thy husband. I'm going to tweak your emotions where you'll need a protector. Something in you that letting you know that you can't make decisions like that. And this is why women make decisions through committee. Because the Most High didn't put it into them to be leaders and just stand on a decision. They must what? They must get some confirmation from a man that when it comes to decisions. And the Most High put that in a woman. Right? So he put that emotion in a woman to need a man. Okay? Now, I wouldn't say in particular it's casting blame, but it's letting you know there's consequences for not listening. And guess what? He didn't blame Adam, okay, for what she did. This was her own curse for disobeying God. He blamed Adam for what he did, for listening to the woman. Okay? So, and I'm going here because both have fault, right? But I'm going to tell you where things become unresolved. when we're pointing out the destructive nature that's going on in our neighborhoods and others, where you have women not listening, only to fall to peril, and then the blame start being shifted back to men. That's when it becomes secular without solution. When we have to be able to put it on women when it's women. And we have to be able to put it on men when it's men without pointing fingers. So that either side can come to a resolve and take accountability. That's the point. And I'm saying this because these women are being told not to go into these countries without protection. We're elders telling people this, that there's bad experiences. You got hustlers over there who's using your curiosity to hustle you. And we still have women coming in saying, well, no, it's not that way. There's farms and they showing us how to do this and how to do that. And it's the same thing. Women, there's some women that's going to do what they want to do, regardless of who's telling them, right? And that's what happened with Eve. You cannot blame Adam for Eve's choices. There's consequences that comes with this. And that's our point. And I'm glad you brought that out, sister.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to make a short comment. It's definitely not helpful when we have a society that is pushing the agenda.
Listen. First of all, people, get out of your feelings for a second, because if you listen to what I'm saying, there's accountability on all sides. Okay? And here's the reality. Eve sinned once, but we can't ignore the depths of that particular sin. The Bible doesn't ignore that. We can't say, well, oh, that's a regular mistake. That wasn't no one-off that we can just look at and say, oh, that's just a small little one thing. The Bible tells us that through that sin, we all die. So that's why it's continually mentioned, because why? We continually fall for the same thing over and over and over again. And it has to be mentioned, and the Bible has it as a reminder for women and men to be under order. That's why it's mentioned. Not to browbeat anyone, more so as an example to not fall to a curse for what? For disobeying order. That's why it's brought up. It should be mentioned. Because we're living in a world now where sisters are going into areas and getting killed now. Because there's no hedge, and when their family tell them don't go places, and when their husband or somebody that cares for them let them know not to go there, they do what they want to do. And we must use the Bible as a living example, so to help our people live. Okay? What we're not going to do anymore for the existence of us teaching here is back off when we're bringing something that can save lives, regardless of how anyone individually feels. Those days are forever gone. If it's truth, then we must stand with truth. If it's wrong, you can argue it, but you're not going to argue how the truth makes you feel. That's personal. That's between you and your God. Okay? If you can't say what we're saying is untrue, then it should be what? At least applied. Whether you feel good about it or not. We're no longer compromising to make someone feel a certain type of way. That's how we've gotten here. Okay? What say you? Thank you, Majama. I appreciate you. All right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just wish that some people could just come in and understand you're coming in the end of the program and you're hearing something in part without its full context. And hear the whole thing before you form some type of opinion on what this show was. You'll never find a more loving and understanding broadcast than what was laid out this evening. So go back to the beginning and see it all before making untimely, without context assessments on things, okay? 901 area code, and then I'll bring in Sunshine.
Greetings, Shalom.
Greetings, Nicole. Which Wakanda package and from what country is your package? I mean, is your Wakanda package? What number?
I'm not interested in no package.
What number package have they delivered to you? You know.
No, they can't. They can't sell this. They can't sell this Eskimo no igloo. I'm telling you.
The Mustafa package. Which one is it? Talk to us.
Well, listen. I'm joking. I do want to confirm though that this is the most compassionate broadcast that I've heard regarding this, because women have been. I mean, we have so much blame, but the compassion for us, the psychological, just understanding how we got here, realizing that, we were duped, and that's why you have a whole industry of the femininity coaches that are women teaching Black women how to become feminine again and agreeable, and all those things that we used to be 50 years ago.
Excellent.
It's just a whole different take, because you have women warring against women. You got women who are saying, well, you need to learn how to be feminine and be trained to be a wife again, because women are so masculine now. And then you have the women who don't really know how to conform to what we used to be, because we bought into the lie. But really, what I wanted to run past you this evening was I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and during the Progressive Baptist Convention that took place, I guess about last month, I think, there's a pastor named, well, I don't know if I should tell her name, but it's a pastor in our church. She's the first female pastor in Memphis, Tennessee. And she so-called made history by being, they allowed her to speak at the convention. This is the first time any female pastor has ever spoken at I guess it's a Progressive National Baptist Convention. And, I've seen a lot of people that were complimentary and high-fiving, basically saying how much they were proud of her. And of course, most of them were other women who are preachers too. But I'm just telling you, it's just really this epidemic of women who are taking on lead. And even Kiki Wyatt, she's an R&B singer, but she says she's fixing open a church, and I don't know what she's thinking. She got like 11 kids or something now.
Listen, I think I've seen a reality show that she's associated with, some of the hottest mess that have ever, some of the hottest mess one could imagine. And she's about to have a church now.
Yeah, she said she wants to pastor, but she said she's not going to stop singing R&B. But anybody can come there and be themselves, and it's just a big mess. But I'm just saying, the women have their feeling. I think Satan is really using this woman who took the floor at the convention as a way of kind of helping to launch a lot of other women who are maybe on the fence about pastoring, because I have a friend whose children I taught piano years ago. She was installed as the first pastor in Fayette County, which is just outside of Memphis. Okay. And so you just see this epidemic of women becoming pastors and getting into these very masculine leaderships. Even our police chief is a woman. She was hired a few years ago from Atlanta. She had a bad track record there. Yeah. We have a new mayor we just elected, and we were hoping that he would have gotten rid of her, but he didn't. So we have this, we just have this situation of, it's like a point of no return. It's like women are just becoming more and more thrust into these very masculine positions, and you don't have any pushback. And the Baptist church used to be very conservative about women pastors or even women preachers. I mean, now they got women deacons, they got women preachers and evangelists, and now they have put, Gina Stewart, that's her name, Gina Stewart. She Dr. Gina Stewart. She preached for the first time on the at the convention, and so it's like at a point of no return. And so if you have women that are feeling more and more independent, and they feel like, okay, you can't really tell them anything, because if you're pastoring a church, which is a huge undertaking, then what is taking you, what's going to keep you from, like, if you have to go to services at night, or if you have to go, if you have to do anything where you could be putting yourself in danger and not really realizing it, because you have this masculine spirit over you that says that, okay, I have to do what a male pastor does. I can't hold back, because she's not even married. In fact, there were rumors about her over the years about her being a lesbian. I don't know if she is or not, but she's a very, very hard. Yeah, allegedly. So I just kind of wanted to bring that perspective, because it seems like there's this spirit that's been loosed. Maybe even, I don't know, maybe not just exclusively in Memphis, obviously, but where women are just taking on these very masculine roles. Well,
sister, in a nutshell, I think I got the gist of what you're saying. In a nutshell, the neighborhoods or our community is officially over. When there's no male authority, it's only a matter of time before the last shoe drops, and what's happening with the migrants to strategically being placed in all these areas is going to finish what's left, because there's no male resistance. So if this is what women wanted, if you wanted the position of leadership, understand that you got to be the ones, if you are the leader, at the door, when the high boots come through. And that's all it is. They're just setting everything up for the last shoe to drop, in a nutshell. And
well, did you see?
And you know what? It's because pastors. Now, I wouldn't say male pastors aren't standing up, because I was growing up in the era of when male pastors were saying that women cannot preach and receive resistance from the women, who started causing issues in the church and end up controlling the boards and voting men who was against this progressive change out of their positions under 501c3. So I was there. So to say that men have allowed this, no. Men didn't allow this. They got the men out of the way who was opposing it, so that women can be in the positions. All right. So this is what you wanted. This is what you got. You got what? You got a whole community with no protection. And now the Most High is bringing the reckoning. The reckoning have been let loose all in our communities, and you have to have a strong, authoritative, I would say, coalition of men with no women involved at all to withstand what's coming in order to protect the women and children. But it's an impossibility if the women have strong-armed the men to stand out front. And guess what? Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you this right now, because I was on the street speaking and all that in the 90s and all that when this transition began to take place. They're like, women are doing it because men have to step up. And they was using that excuse for a while. But I was like, well, hold up. Here's news articles where pastors are going against women in these positions, and the women are operating together to get that pastor moved out of position. So what are you talking about? But it was them and those that are working of the LGBTQ who was in charge of the choir. They were working in conjunction all together without men actually understanding the threat. The threat was them joining together to move a male authority from over churches altogether. Okay. And the good women, the good women who understood it was wrong, they had no part in it, but they just stayed quiet.
Right.
So that's where we are right now. So the community is officially the community is officially dead. It's over. We just have to save those who would like to be saved. What say you?
Well, have you followed the Fannie Willis trial thing, or the because she
listen, I have a different take. I know the whole story on Fannie Willis, Fannie Willis, but I have a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why I have a different take on it. Right? Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you. One second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you why. This is why I have a different take on it altogether. Right? One second. Let me show you this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to look on your screen.
I'm watching.
All right. Let me show you something here. I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to pull this up. Now, I believe that all of these politicians are what they are. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, right? Because we have to be respectful to, I would say, YouTube guidelines. But I'm gonna pull up I'm gonna pull up. Excuse me. You said Fannie, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to show you why I have a different take on what's going on with Fannie, who has, conveniently been renamed Fannie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to show you why. Let me show you why I have a different take, and then right, because everyone is making a big deal out of it. And I'm going to show you why I have a different take. I need you to look at your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We see that they're making a big thing about this woman. Right? Right? Now, of course, there's some questions on how these two got together when he went through a divorce or whatever the case is. And really, this is her man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the issue I have, I don't agree with how they got together. I don't know how long they've been together, but let's deal with it from a secular standpoint, in the world, on how the world operates, right? We talk about we talk about over and over how there is no sisters who support and look out for brothers in high positions. And I'm going to show you why they make it a big deal of this. This brother has accomplished something, and he's a lawyer. And we got a sister here, regardless of what you're saying, is making sure that this brother gets priority over everyone else in the office, and that's including some of the white people who may want some of the money that she's actually providing through these positions. So, yes, is there cronyism? Of course there's cronyism, because that's politics. But at least she's making sure he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So why they listen? So why are they making such a big deal of this when do you think Kamala's political positions isn't kicking back and making sure this guy gets something? Kamala is married to a white man. Do you think her ambitions isn't benefiting him? Do you think that when she travel on White House money and all that and make sure that he gets a little something that they are opening up an investigation on it? Let's go one better. Let's go one better. Let's look at who? Let's look at Ketanji Jackson. They conveniently use a black name so that, and this guy was non-existent in all the photo ops when Ketanji was made the first black woman on the Supreme Court. But what legislation will she be pushing? And do you think that her political ambitions have benefited this guy? And why nobody investigate how much money is being funneled to him through his political affiliation? So my take on this is, right, they'll only investigate when our people are given generational wealth to our own black men. You are not to empower. You are not to empower a black man.
Yes.
In relationships politically.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a different take, because if you're going to look at it from it, at least she's saying, you know what? I'm going to look out for my man. He takes priority, and what they're doing is making her and him an example. If she was doing that same thing for Ketanji's husband, if she was married to him, this would have been a non-story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a different take.
This,
That's definitely a different
this
take.
would have been a non-story. Not that I agree with it. If she would have been Kamala, who's probably used her political influence to get this man paid, who's a white man, this would have been a non-story. Okay?
Absolutely right.
So I'm not going to throw that sister under the bus, because now we finally get a sister who's saying, well, listen, if the money's going to come down the pipeline, it's not going to be to migrants. It's not going to be to all these people who aren't Americans. At least it's to somebody that can now have a name and use generational wealth to show forth a black example of excellence. Right?
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Because you can't find a politician anywhere out there without scandal. Why are they highlighting this?
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
That's an excellent take.
So that's my take on that.
Take. Are y'all still in operation? I mean, in the process of establishing a Memphis school? I mean, a Memphis church.
We're gonna have a Memphis church this year, sister. You got it.
All right. Can't
All
wait.
right.
Thank you so much, Elder.
All right, bless you. Let me go to the last call.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Sunshine, are you with me? Where are you, Sunshine? Oh, I'm sorry, Sunshine. I'm sorry. Yes, it says right here that the episode have ended. I'm sorry, Sunshine. Call Friday. I'm bringing you in for real time. We're going to pick it up from where we left off, Sunshine. I totally apologize. I wanted to hear from you. One of our favorite people. But it says that the episode is ended, so I can't go any further without setting up a new stream. So I have to go about that this coming Friday, and I want to hear from you because I didn't know Sunshine has some serious singing skills, mind you. All right. Well, Elder Lawyer, thank you for your assistance tonight. We're out at 9:00, which is a good time. I really appreciate all you do, brother, in the work. I thank you, Elder Ramar, for assisting us there. All right. With that, we're going to say, may the Most High be with you, sister. Stay protected. And please lean on men to guide you. Okay? We care for you. All right? Please don't go into these countries by yourself, not realizing the danger. They are unaliving our sisters all over the place, let alone...
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Let alone, brothers and sisters, if you were to end up in one of these foreign countries. All right? Make sure you get advice before making moves like this. And don't send these people in other countries a red cent without guidance. If you need to, link in with an elder or deacon. Let us know what's going on so that we can investigate what's happening there. So to help protect your finances for when you'll really need your finances, okay? Instead of investing in these unrealistic Wakanda packages. All right. Thank you, Elder Lawyer. All right.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom and good night. All right. With that concludes our broadcast for today, sisters. 2 weeks in a row, we wanted to make sure that we stayed in the same lane of warning our sisters of the imminent danger against them, especially when they're trying to cut off everything, all the subsidies that they've been giving us through Section 8 and all these others. I'm going to tell you right now, our sisters are between the crosshairs, okay? They're under attack. It's enough that you have to fend through this thing, right? In America. Please don't go out into these other countries and send these people your money in these other countries, all right? To only end up unalived like so many sisters who thought they were going into paradise. Okay. With that, may the Most High stay with you. Stay prayed up, sin not, and keep in mind that the Most High is calling back the children of Israel. That's right, brothers and sisters. We are the children of Israel who are in Christ, and we're back. Good evening.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. See, we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, the highest gathering in Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us, at gunpoint, together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. A high gatherer in Colombia, Reuben from Australia.